Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back. It is Thursday, 10th of July. It's good job I've got a calendar on my screen here because I forget all these sorts of things. It's a wonderfully warm, balmy, truly glorious summer evening here. Far too good to be doing a radio show, but we're going to do one anyway because we love you all so much. Paul English Live, episode 95. Welcome to the show. Joining us in about half an hour's time or so, technical trouser challenges given, will be John Hamer, an author of many, many volumes. And if you're not aware of John's output, it's considerable, very large books and quite a few of them. And there's a link to the books below the description on YouTube and on Rumble. Here we are once more. Can you believe it? Can you? Can you really believe it? How long is a week now? I think when we started this, a week used to be about 4 days. I think it's down to about a day and a half now. It just seems to go by, doesn't it? And shout out to everybody in chat so far over on YouTube. Low attendance so far, but it's early days. We've only just got up and warm, but good evening. It's that time of the week already. Indeed, it is. Says TP, and a sunlit evening tidings to you too, Billy Silver and everybody else over in Rumble and XO and Woody Peak and Reconciliation and Eric Von Essig, who he, and me. Oh, I'm in there as well, so fantastic. And look, can you hear that? That's seagulls for atmosphere. If I open the door, they'll really come in. They were adding atmosphere to the show the other day. I'm actually, what's the word? Is it inundated? That's actually to do with tides, isn't it? But I think it's good to mix up your descriptions. Yeah, we're inundated with seagulls these days. In fact, there was a great gathering of them this afternoon. I went for a wonderful walk today down to the pier and back. Very sort of traditional English seaside sort of thing to do. And the pier is about 2 and a bit miles away from me. So it was about 4.5 miles this afternoon. It was great. And I don't know whether this is a good or a bad thing. I think I mentioned the other week I spent £5 on an ice cream. And, of course, people have been giving me a great deal of verbal abuse for that, just as they should. It was a ludicrous amount of money to spend on just one cornet, but it was massive. It was very, very big. Anyway, I had to walk past several ice cream vans today, 4, and I had to walk past each one of them twice. So that was 8. The 8 temptations of Paul. And I don't know whether this is a good or a bad thing, but I didn't buy an ice cream. It would have melted very quickly anyway because it's been very, very warm here today. Exo says, seagulls and any crammed boats, Paul. Well, hopefully not. Not that we can see from here. I suppose if I get a telescope, I might be able to spot a few. But then we've got some gun emplacements here that were built just down the coast to fend off Napoleon. I'm serious. I think they were built about 1805. Everybody around here got really paranoid and thought Napoleon was coming over. And by jolly jingo, he nearly did, didn't he? Anyway, somebody who has come over, not from France, but all the way from his pub, the Fockham Hall Arms, is Eric Von Essex. Eric, hello, good evening, and how are you on this rather warm evening? Yeah.
Well, I'm spiffing and Beezer and all the lot. It's fantastic today, isn't it? It's a perfect summer's day, and this is what England is all about. Summer's day with ice cream and just niceness, you know, like when you was a kid.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have an ice cream today. Do you need help? You know, do you need psychiatric
I don't know.
help?
I just resisted, really. Yeah, and you know, everybody gets them with a flake in, don't they? They always get a bit of chocolate in the ice cream, don't they? I don't. Yes. It's not that I don't like chocolate. It's just that I want all the ice. I want ice cream. I can get chocolate anytime,
I like ice
cream,
yeah.
I like ice cream. I really do. So, yeah, they weren't doing a roaring trade. It's Thursday. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon that I'm tootling around. But boy, was it hot. It really was. It was genuinely hot today. I'm actually slightly tanned. I'll be the colour of... I'll look like the colour as if I'm from a different race very soon. The way this is all going, I can tell you.
I've got a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Buy yourself a inflatable boat from Argos and get a free... Go out and come back and you can get yourself absolute free bed, lodgings, 3 meals a day, free of charge, and say you don't know where you're from.
Well, I don't know where I'm from, really, cosmically. None of us really know ultimately where we're from, do we?
You could be looked after for a year and say you're an asylum seeker, and you won't have to spend a penny. It's top hotels, lovely. Nice holiday for you. Why not?
So, ladies and gentlemen, listeners out there on WBN, on Eurofolk Radio, on Radio Soapbox, on Rumble, on YouTube and elsewhere that this show is carried, don't say that we don't give you pertinent and rather useful pieces of information and advice. Courtesy of Eric von Essex. Very good advice, Eric. Very, very sound.
Thank you. And Exo says, no jokes, Eric, about a 69 and a flake. Yes, it was called a 69, wasn't it, the flake? Do you remember that? You used to go up to the ice cream van and say, "Keep me a like a 69, please."
I think the audience is getting a bit unruly. They're trying to feed you stuff already to bend the conversation.
It's all very polite.
Yes.
As what it was called in the 1960s, we was all very innocent people, and that was the name of an ice cream with a lump of flake in it, wasn't it? That's called 69.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go. Nothing rude about that.
No, you know what? I wonder if I'm... By the way, quick shout out to, say, Rumble or YouTube. What's the sound level like? Am I overpowering Eric? We are using a slightly different setup tonight because our hand was forced technically. I've got a feeling that I might be overpowering Eric in the mix. If anybody could just write that in and let me know if it's a bit too loud. I guess it all depends where you... I get a bit paranoid about these things, Eric. You know what it is. I just spent 3 hours in makeup, and we had all these buttons to press. Then I was with Larry. There it is. But the show's coming up, Larry. The show's coming up. I must get ready for my audience and all that kind of stuff.
You're doing your Sir John Gielgud. Sir John Gielgud is Adolf Hitler. We must invade Poland. It'd be good in that, wouldn't it? And
he would. If he weren't quite so completely and totally dead, which is a bit of a sort of impediment to him actually taking the role up and learning his lines. But still, where there's a will, there's a way. I suppose we could put him back together again. Look, I've asked for everybody's advice. Now I'm not even looking at the chat. Adequate sound on Soapbox. That's cool. Thank you. All sound is good, and the sound levels seem to be okay going out. I think they are. I'm just. That's great. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. It's always. Look, can you hear me? That was my back there. That was that joint. That's my. No, it's not really. It's my microphone stand.
Well, Mark Anthony, 72, and Gizzy said it was a 99, not a 69. Well, you eat your ice cream your way, I'll eat my ice cream my way. So there we go.
I don't know why we even bother with the bloody show. What's the point? What's the point, really, Eric? I mean, is there any point in me trying? I've been slaving over a hot studio mix all afternoon, but why bother?
Well, actually, the next time we go into a Fockham Hall pub, you see, we've got several to go to. So we I don't know where we could go. I was thinking we could go to the Ship and Shovel next week. What about that?
The Ship and Shovel. You've got to watch it
Ship
with
and
that
Shovel.
one. But I mean, when I, you know what? There's a pub in, is it Fulham, right?
Fulham, yeah.
Fulham. That's South Bank, isn't it, Fulham? I think it is. I've all gone a bit vague. I should know because I lived really near Fulham for ages, for yonks. I had friends that lived in St. Wreatham, usually pronounced Streatham, but often, if you're posh, it's St. Wreatham. Yeah.
Streatham.
And I was up in North London, but then I used to come down south to see the bird and everything. And she was living in Putney, Putters, so Putney. And one of the pubs over at Fulham, a very large and ever-growing crowd of English types, that would be me and a couple of... and my bird and a few others. And then there were Scots and Irish. And they all used to drag me over to the shit, as I used to call it. I'm sorry, it's a vulgar thing that I've just said, but I did used to call it that. It was a great pub, a Fuller's pub called The Ship over there. packed. I think, yeah, and these guys were really into talking to the landlord. Apparently it was the biggest money-pulling pub on Fuller's chain. So they were absolutely coining it in, and it was a big rugby place, you know, when all the internationals were on, and the Scots were always, you know, looking at me because they wanted to beat the crap out of the English. And I'm slightly indifferent about rugby. I still don't quite get it. Even though I played in the school team for 2 years. I'm serious. I played rugby for 2 years under Dave Kelly's armpit in the second row. There's a song in there. There was a guy called Dave Kelly on the second row, and he was a mature lad for his years. I was quite big. That's why they picked me at the time. But he was huge, and his armpits were even bigger, and they had a sort of odorific radius that sort of reached across the whole pitch. It was quite a thing. But I never even understood what I was doing, really, to be quite honest. And every time we scored a try and the rest of the team got all giddy, I was like indifferent to it. It's like, that looks crap. I'm serious. Every time I see a try, I go, try harder. It never got me. What's your response to ruggers? Are you a rugby type, Eric? Do you get into it?
No, not really. I hated it.
You should berate me if you do.
Yeah, I was actually forced into it when I was at school, and I detested every minute of it. Couldn't wait to get off the pitch, bloody. But I couldn't see any point in it really. So, but it's played by men with strange shaped balls. Isn't it? It's a strange shaped ball. I can't quite understand. Why can't it be round like any other ball?
Well, you can blame Tom Brown for that, for picking the bloody ball up at rugby and running with it. Cheat.
Yeah.
Dirty little cheat. You can't do that
Dirty
at all.
Little sod, yes.
Yeah, no, those old mayhem games. It was all about toughening you up. I didn't mind it in the winter. I know it sounds weird. I actually liked getting cold, wet, and covered in snow. We used to play in the snow as well. And it was just to basically say, look, you're all right. And everybody go, oh, and all the weeds would go, so can we go to chess club? No, you get out there and get thrashed, right? But afterwards, it was great because you have a hot shower. We had hot water at school, quite advanced, even in the 70s. Had hot water, go home, have a big cup of milk, loads of malted milk biscuits, dunked in so much they used to break off. And did you do that? You used to overdunk your biscuits so they break off? Yes. People know what I'm talking about. It's important stuff.
I'll tell you something, a little something that for years people haven't known about, and that is where the changing rooms were. They backed onto a cavity wall, and it was a retaining wall. But
did you talk like this, Eric? When you were at school, did you talk like that in sort of architectural terms to your mates? A cavity wall, a retaining wall. I didn't even know what they were until I was about 18. I could just hear you talking to everybody at school like as an architect. Sorry, carry on. I disturbed you. It's terrible.
Anyway, what happened, you see, there's a mate of mine, his father was in explosives during World War II.
Yeah,
and he knew how to make things from, shall we say, souped up fireworks and sugar, and what was it now? Sugar and something else. I think it was weed killer, and he knew how to make explosives. And he used to put. Remember those cigar holders? They used to have. Was it Will's Whiffs? These cigar holders. Well, he made this thing up. And what he did, we had sort of bunked off sports. We got out of it. We hid behind the sheds. He decided to he had a long fuse, and he made a little bomb thing, and he put it down the cavity. You see, and nothing happened. So we thought, oh, it's gone out. Right. So we put another one down there. You see.
Yes.
No, it must have gone out. We put a third one down there. And we thought, what's happened? It must be going out. Then suddenly there's this God Almighty, boom, and all these sort of half-naked people running out the changing rooms. What the bloody hell was that? It must have sort of shook, because the changing rooms are built onto this wall. It must have shook it rigidly. But because what it must also, there must have been methane down there as well, because we saw loads and loads of smoke coming out all the holes in the wall.
Oh, that's nice. That's cool.
So so it was me and my mate who was, he liked blowing things up. He actually blew the toilet seat off. What happened is he went into the toilet and put one of his little cigar things underneath the seat and lit it, and then locked the door and got out over the window. And we were sitting having lessons, and suddenly there was a boom, come downstairs, and a little sod had blown the seat off the toilet. A nice little boy.
I like the sound of your school. This is a good. This is a good school.
It was approved.
Yeah.
It was approved, so it must have been a good school. Yeah. But when you looked at him, he had thick glasses.
Yeah.
He looked a typical sort of nerd.
No.
He looked a bit like who's that geezer? Microsoft geezer, Bill Gates.
Gil Bates.
He looked a bit like it, Gil Bates.
Yeah.
In fact, it might have been Bill Gates, and he sort of resurrected in America. But no, he was the last sort of person you would suspect of doing anything like that. I think he became a chemist or something when he left school.
Chemist? Something for the weekend, sir. That kind of chemist. Oh boy, yeah. Hey, I was going to play. Look, I shouldn't play you this because it's just bad that I play you this. You heard about this guy called Greg Wallace? Do you know about him?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's got a slightly cockeyed mouth and he's a slightly aggressive persona in TV things. And I've just seen him on and off. I think he was Dragon's Den or something at some point, and he's a bit sort of in your face and a bit sort of like that. Probably rather. Anyway, he's been up on charges for apparently running around in studios without any clothes on or something. I'm serious.
A flasher.
I wouldn't say that. I have no idea. I wasn't there, thankfully, and never will be. But there was this little clip played about him today, and let me just play you this. Here we go. This is from. I just caught this morning on the news in between the Mike Graham show. This is just, it's only 15 seconds. This is a little observation about him.
And friends of Greg Wallace say his autism is partly to blame for his inappropriate behaviour on MasterChef. They say he has autistic hypersensitivity. That means he won't wear underwear because it's too sensitive to the labels and any tight clothing. The BBC fired the presenter earlier this week.
I can't deal with the labels on the underwear. What kind of crap is that? It's just fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. Everybody's autistic now. I don't mean artistic.
Oh, yes.
They're all autistic, aren't they? All of them.
Yeah, we all have to have a name that we suffer from. And by the way, I was going to mention the old Swedish chemist shop joke, but I think after 10 o'clock maybe. So
we're all going to. I won't be able to concentrate. I've got to wait an hour and 40 minutes for the Swedish chemist.
Well, it's not rude. I mean, it was said on television.
Yeah, you say that about all your jokes. They're not rude, Paul.
Do you want to hear it? Man walks into Swedish chemist shop. Hello. Yes, can I help you? Yes, I'd like some deodorant, please. Yes, would you like a bull or aerosol? No, I just want it for under the arms. Sorry, that's a terrible one.
I like them though. They're like vulgar, slightly lame but cheeky dad's jokes, and they're really good. I ought to get my brother on here. He loves dad's jokes. He's always telling me these jokes that really the whole gag is that the punchline's not as strong as it ought to be. Yeah, it's great. No, I quite like that. That's okay. That's pretty good.
You see, that was all right before the 9 o'clock watershed. I noticed, changing the subject slightly, you've got one of my favourite films portraying, and that is Dr. Strangelove.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
I thought that was MasterChef. No, I've got it wrong. Oh, bloody hell. I thought that was...
Oh, bloody hell.
It's MasterChef. They've all just been making some croissants. They're having a big discussion and they're being judged. No, you're right. Of course, I am being, facetious and wrong. It is, yes. Dr. Strangelove.
Stanley Kubrick's best, one of his best, not the best, but it was a good one. I think that that one that he did in Ireland was about the best, but he legged it because the IRA threatened him. What was the one that he did in Ireland? I can't
Tom
remember
Jones?
that one. But
not Tom Jones.
No,
was
it
it?
Tom Jones? Was it Barry Lyndon?
That's the one I meant. He shot that in Ireland, did
he? Part of it, and what happened? The IRA were very strong in those days. And they threatened him. This was in 1972, 73. So he said, sod, well, not exactly in these words, sod that. And he did the rest of it in England. But the cinematography in that was absolutely brilliant. And did you know they actually wore actual 18th century clothing that was made in the 18th century for authenticity,
Didn't they?
and it was very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only ever caught bits of it, and every time, I mean, it starts off with that duel, doesn't it? There's a duel.
Yes.
This dueling lark, good grief. This dueling lark, amazing. Yeah.
And there's a bloke who throws up in it, and he actually did throw up.
Oh,
and
nice.
He wanted to act it well, yeah. And he actually he swallowed a raw egg, and that's what made him throw up. Yeah.
It wasn't. That wasn't played by John Gielgud, was it? Going for authenticity.
Oh no, darlings!
I'd like to do the throwing up. No, John. We don't want you throwing up again.
Do you think he was the worst actor ever?
I think my mum did.
Terrible.
I can't stand him. He's just the same. She used to go, he's the same in everything he does. He's so la-di-da.
He's always lovey. Okay, lovey.
He is a bit of a lovey, yeah. There was him,
and
Ralph Richardson. Him and Ralph Richardson did... There's a radio series they did of Sherlock Holmes, which is not too bad, actually. I think John Gielgud is Sherlock, yes, and Ralph Richardson plays Dr. Watson, and it's actually not that bad. I always thought Ralph Richardson was kind of sort of slightly eccentric and a bit unhinged, and I was expecting him to go off script all the time. There's something quite cheekily zany and mad about him. But yeah, there was him, those two, and Laurence Olivier, and anybody else in the crew.
Oh, so Larry.
Larry, yeah, Larry.
Larry.
Hello, Larry. Dear Larry.
What was it? Sir Laurence Olivier was in what I used to call it when I was a kid, Henry V. No, it's Henry V actually, and it's historically inaccurate. It's laughable, especially when he raises his sword up in the air and tells everybody to fire a shot.
What
the longbow, they just lowered his sword so they could all fire at the same time. With a longbow, you could hold it for about 3 seconds, and that'd be about it. It'd be knackered. And even though they had really strong muscles, they still couldn't hold that longbow for the amount of time they showed you in the film. But
I can't hold it.
Yeah.
I can't hold it.
Yeah, I can't hold it.
I can't hold it, Dad. I can't hold it. Oh, twang.
But there's a funny, that scene from Dr. Strangelove. Peter Sellers is the absolute living image of who's that bastard who? Excuse me. Oh, terribly sorry. Before the was said, who's that bloke? Yeah. Kissinger. The absolute living image of Kissinger in that, and I'm sure because Kissinger was unknown at that time. He wasn't that well known, but there's a fantastic scene where there's a punch up, and as Peter says, "Stop fighting! Don't you realise this is a war room?" Oh, some crackers in that. And that one when he phones through to the Kremlin and they're all drunk, they're all at a party.
It's Sterling Hayden's role. Sterling Hayden. My mum hated Sterling Hayden as well. I only remember the actors she really didn't like because these things had come. Oh, I can't stand him. I actually think Sterling he's really good in that, and he plays the crazed American commander who's gone off grid, as it were. He's gone bonkers. But that whole speech that he makes about water fluoridation.
It's true, though.
It's absolutely spot on. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it really is. And Peter Sellers is immaculate sort of RAF officer with that incredibly clipped tone, and all that sort of polite, restrained manners. It's fantastic. It's a great sort of, it's a brilliant film, actually. It's really fab. I haven't seen it in years. Maybe we'll dig some clips up for later on. Oh,
it'd be brilliant. And also, did you know that he was due to act the part that Walter Pidgeon acted, and that is on the bomb, sitting on the bomb at the end. And he said look, I don't want to do it. He said, I'm in too many roles on that. He said, it'll spoil the film.
Yeah.
And he made out something, so he didn't do it, and it worked. And he went against the, Kubrick's wishes. And it turned out that Kubrick was wrong on that occasion, and he was right, because it would have been too much. He said, it's overkill. He said, it'd be too much me.
Yeah.
But apparently, Patrick said that Hayden was a communist in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not. No, my mum's instincts were correct then.
Yeah, he was a
commie
commie.
and a bad actor. I mean, what are we supposed to
Yes.
do about that? What are we supposed to do about that? Yeah,
No, I'm
Sterling
talking about
Hayden.
Hayden. Sterling Hayden, yeah, was a communist in real life. Well,
Was he?
Well. Played the Irish cop in The Godfather.
Yeah.
Did
Wow.
he? Hmm.
That's a bit
Yes.
much. He did, actually.
And,
Yeah, he's the one. Yeah, he's a bit nasty. He's a bit of a nasty piece of work in The Godfather, isn't he, really? I think that must have been one of the last films he made. He's also in, I think he appears in Kubrick's very first film, which is The Hold-Up or something like that. Don't know if you've seen that one, but there's a film called The Hold-Up.
No, I thought it was that one, Paths of Glory, wasn't it? I thought that was with Kirk Douglas.
Yeah.
About the First World War.
Yeah, there's
That
one he
was
made before
incredible.
that, though. He made one even before that called
Really?
The Hold-Up. Yeah, it's about some thugs hoping up a bookies somewhere or something like that. And, yeah. Let's see if I can find this clip. Hang on. If you hear me typing away, it's me actually
Okay.
grinding my teeth. Let's see if I can find it. Dr.
Right on.
Strangelove, Fluoridation. That's the one we want. It's actually brilliant.
Yes, and it's true actually what he says.
Yes, of course it is. Of course it's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay it otherwise. Let's have a look. Can we find it? Oh, come here. This is called last minute-itis, everybody, when you think, well, it would
Yes,
be good to
don't
play
worry.
that clip. Oh, here we go. It's 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Are you ready? Hang on.
Perfect. Ready? Here it comes.
Let me just...
New Tresemme Lamella Shine
Oh, we
range
don't want that. Hang on.
forms thin lamella layers.
Look at that. They're always putting adverts on. There you go. So if you want something for your hair, get whatever it was they were advertising just
Yeah.
then. It was absolutely marvellous. Marvellous stuff. That's really what we want. La 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 la. Here we go.
Mandrake,
Yes, Jack?
have you ever seen a commie drink a glass of water?
Well, yeah, I can't say I have, Jack.
Vodka. That's what they drink, isn't it? Never water.
Well, I believe that's what they drink, Jack, yes.
On no account will a commie ever drink water, and not without good reason.
Oh, yes. I can't quite see what you're getting at, Jack.
Water. That's what I'm getting at, water. Mandrake, water is the source of all life. 7/10 of this Earth's surface is water. Why, do you realize that 70% of you is water?
Oh, Lord.
And as human beings, you and I need fresh, pure water to replenish our precious bodily fluids.
Yes,
Are you beginning to understand?
yes.
Mandrake. Mandrake, have you never wondered why I drink only distilled water or rainwater and only pure grain alcohol?
Well, it did occur to me, Jack, yes.
Have you ever heard of a thing called fluoridation? Fluoridation of water?
Yes, I have heard of that, Jack, yes. Yes.
Well, do you know what it is?
No, I don't know what it is now.
Do you realize that fluoridation is the most monstrously conceived and dangerous communist plot we have ever had to face?
Fluoridation, everybody. Spot on,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
He was spot on. And Perfect 99 says, did you know that Kirk Douglas' real name was Izzer Danilovich
I did.
Densky?
Yeah, I did.
So not
I
many
did
people
know
know that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know
I
that,
think
yes.
I'm turning into Sterling Hayden, because I too
Sterling
drink
Hayden.
distilled water for my precious bodily fluids. And you should all look after your precious bodily fluids. Actually, I got a great bit of information through the other day about the water that's in your body. It changes inside your body. It's not actually water. Once the water goes in, your body does something to it, and it's really amazing sorts of water. And you get the amazing type of water out of vegetables and all sorts of other things. There's kind of an electromagnetic field that gets imprinted into the water. And it's, anyway, it's much more interesting and complicated than I can possibly explain right now because I can't remember what I read. But I was slightly fascinated by all that kind of stuff. Also the fact that the heart is not really a pump; it's a big sort of vortex machine or something. This would explain why babies who don't have a fully formed heart, the blood is still pounding around the tiny little microscopic being, i.e., you and me, Eric, when we were very, very momentarily on our way. Things were already moving around. So it's all interesting stuff, isn't it? Isn't it fascinating? Anyway,
It's interesting. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to the doctors and he said, "Do you have problems passing water?" I said, "Well, I feel a bit queasy if I go near the River Thames." But anyway, that's sorry. But really, though, it is interesting. I mean, I think it's 70 to 80% of us is water, and also water has memory. So if you put negativity into it, I did an experiment once where I had 3 jars of water with rice in them. And I hated one jar, ignored the middle jar, and loved the third jar. Very difficult to do. And the one that I hated was minging in a couple of days. And
really?
It's surprising it works. Yes.
Well, somebody who might know a little bit about water but might not is John Hamer. And I see that John, prompt as ever, I'm saying that as if we've done loads of these shows. It's the first time John's ever been with us, but has joined us in the studio. You probably see him too. Eric, John, good evening. Can we hear you? That's the first check. Let's do a sound check. Can you say something?
Hi, Paul. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can. You're very, very quiet.
It's very faint, yes. Evening, John.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing, mate?
Mustn't grumble. We could hardly hear you. So,
is that any better?
No, not really. No, I'm on full. I can't. Let me just hang on. Right, I've added 12 decibels. I've run out of decibels to add. Say something again, John.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Well, I guess we'll just have to do. You're very quiet. Yeah, it's very, very quiet.
I don't know what else to do. I mean, my volume on my laptop is way up, and I can't see that there is any other settings that would alleviate the situation.
Okay. I'm just...
Phone job?
What's that?
Phone job. Phone, because I think we did it once before. When John came on my show, we did it via the phone.
I mean, the sound quality is good. I'm just thinking about...
Yeah,
hang on. Let me just think. I've run out of extra volumes. I think everybody can hear you, John. It's just that we're probably overpowering you at the moment. If you just say something again.
Something again? How does that sound?
Yeah, let me just ask everybody. Is that acceptable to everybody? It is a little bit too quiet. I don't know quite what we could do, really. I'm just trying to find a way to boost you up. What can I do here? What can I do? Oh, well, I know how to get it to go out on SOAPBOX a bit quicker, but to go out a bit louder. But on Rumble, let me just have a look. See what everybody's saying. It's all right. This is all part of the joys of live radio, John, so it's wonderful. Don't worry about it. So quick shout out to everybody in Rumble. What's John's volume like? Is it sort of way too quiet? Too quiet. Yeah, we've got you too quiet. How else could we bring...
It's more muffled. I think it's more muffled and quiet. It sounds as if he's speaking into pillows or something.
Do you want to come in on WhatsApp, John, maybe? Do you want to bring you in on there?
You mean on my phone?
If it works for you on your phone, if you're comfortable with the phone stuck next to your head for 2 hours, it's up to you, really. I just think you need to be comfy for such a long haul.
Well, first of all, I ain't going to be on for 2 hours because I've had one hell of a day. And I have been on a 5.5-hour train journey and driven back 5.5 hours as well from Cheltenham, of all places.
Oh, nice.
Cheltenham.
So I'm absolutely knackered. I've been to pick up a new car because mine fell over in a heap, I'm afraid. So I had to. Then the one that I wanted was 250 odd miles away. So there you go. So I had no option but to go now because it was in demand. So there you go.
Right.
Hang on, he's got a little bit better. John's sound got a bit better then.
How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to have volume with a little bit of muffle. Anyway, John, yeah, let's not fart around too much. It's okay. We can, when we have you on again, tomorrow, teasing, we'll sort it out.
Midnight.
But yeah, no. Anyway, look, it's great to have a knackered John Hamer here who's just tried to buy a car. Or did you successfully buy one, John? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I did indeed, and drove it back from Cheltenham. It took me 5.5 hours, but there you go.
Right.
But
And
what happened to Susie? What happened to Susie Quattro?
Susie Quattro died, I'm afraid. She's
dear.
not been buried yet, but she's going to. She's being repaired and going to be sold.
So what you got? So what you got now? Did you get another Susie
I got
Quattro?
a Lexus. No, I got a Lexus GS300.
Lexus is very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Toyota,
Yeah,
in
it's-
other words. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, high-end Toyota. Yeah, I mean, it drives like a dream. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice. Swanning around in your
Yes.
Toyota all afternoon, and you say you're tired. You should have come back in absolute luxury. You should be totally refreshed, John, and full of fizz.
I'll tell you what. If it not been a luxury drive, I would have been collapsed on the floor now. I tell you, I left home at 7 this morning, and got back at about 20 to 8. So there you go.
And it's been warm today, hasn't it? Was it warm?
Just a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it's
about
been
34 degrees.
Yeah, it's been fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. You're probably a bit too
Yeah.
close to the mic now. Just a whisker away. Look at me. That's what it's
How
like when
about
you get
that?
on
Is
here,
that-
you know. It's like, me and Eric were in makeup and stuff ages before the show, all getting ready and all that kind of stuff, ready for you to turn up. But no, you were swanning around in your bloody Toyota having too much fun.
Indeed. Well, if that's fun,
Yeah.
give me misery any day.
Yeah.
well-
Okay.
If-
Just hang around here for another hour. I bet we'll be able to dollop a few bits up. But, John, anyway, in a more formal way, of course, because we're very formal around here, it's great to have you on the show. I'd heard you a couple of times on with Eric, and, of course, we talked the other day, and I was talking to Eric about 3 or 4 weeks back and decided to... I said, what about John? And he said, sure, yeah. So, he kindly put us... Thank you, Eric, for that as well, for putting us
That's okay.
in touch. Even if he has been driving his car and all that kind of stuff, it's still lovely to have you. And... I was just wondering, John,
Thank you.
look, we don't need to stick on this part of it anyway, but there may be people out there that possibly don't know who you are, and without sort of asking you to rake over the entire coals of your life, the question I just wanted to kick off with was, how did you get into the writing lark? What is it? You were involved in technology to some degree, and then something must have pushed you over here. I'm assuming, or maybe it's a lifelong thing. I
Yeah.
was just interested to know what your little sort of pathway is into this space of inquiry. Let's call it
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. I worked in IT all my working life until the very late 90s. And I had an epiphany moment and kind of woke up to what was going on in the world. I'd always had a penchant for writing.
Yeah.
I had the cartridge for it, by the way. And, I and I started researching all the evil stuff that's going on in the world, and began writing about it and getting articles accepted on websites. And then I thought one day, well, why don't you write a book? In fact, people have been encouraging me to write a book, so I am now on book number 10. So, yeah, I've been writing seriously since about 2008. First book was published in early 2012.
Yeah.
And as I say, 8 more since then, and another one in the pipeline, which has just begun.
Okay. And can you tell us what the one in the pipeline is about, or is that a trade secret for now? Yeah.
Not at all. It's got a working title of 100 Degrees South, and it is a follow-up to our currently best-selling tome, 60 Degrees South, which I've co-written with my friend Andy Ross.
Yeah.
And it's had rave reviews so far, which is very gratifying. And yeah, we've begun the follow-up this last week. So yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. No, that's great. I was just wondering, from a sort of quirk of workflow point of view, how do you literally use your fingers to type on a keyboard? I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you must have done that 12 years ago, but do you still do that?
I do.
Does it drive you crazy? Because it does me. You know,
I
all that
do.
clattering of the fingers on the keyboard, doesn't it get on your nerves or something? Because I go nuts after about an hour. All that.
Wait.
How do you deal with it?
Well, you can switch. You can switch the clatter off, can't you?
I suppose
just
you
my
can.
keyboard's silent.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no, I'm not a fast typer by any means. I do use both hands, but it's still a bit clunky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just an old-fashioned guy, me, Paul. You know, and I like to stick to the old stuff. You know, I've got to that kind of age.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Don't worry about that. That's just a bit of a loop back. I just throw that in to throw you off beam. No, that's nonsense, is that? Forget that. That was me. My technical trousers fell down for about 2 seconds there. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So I thought it was a hint to me for me to shut up, but never mind.
No.
Yeah. So I'm being the age that I am, I'm a bit set in my ways. So yeah, I'm a very much a keyboard guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I keep thinking about writing. I've written some. I sort of used to write advertising and stuff and everything. And every time I sit down, after about an hour with clattering around with my fingers on the keyboard, I don't like the sound. I'm really interested in this idea of just speaking to the damn thing and speech to text. And some of the latest software stuff just looks fantastic. So I need to indulge a little bit in that. But the latest book that you've got going then, when are you expecting to have that sort of wrapped up? Will that be a little bit later this year or early next year? I'm just interested to know. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I would say probably by the end of the year, because the actual writing of it is only probably, as daft as it sounds, it's probably only about 60% of the entire work. Because
Right.
You've got all the research beforehand. You've got to plan it out. You've got to plot the story out. Because it's a novel, by the way. It's not most of my books are factual books, but this is a novel.
Right.
And then of course, once you actually think you've finished, you haven't, because then you've got to start reading through it about 10 times and correcting all the typos and all the grammatical errors, and then it goes on and on and on, and that process takes almost as much, if not longer, than the writing.
Oh yeah, the proofreading. Yes, it's the fun thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. No,
Yes.
I know that. I know a couple of guys who are publishers. I know a guy called Dave Gahary down in Florida, and he's often, if he's in the middle of that, you don't get to speak to him for 2 weeks. He's just grinding away line by line to make sure there are no typos in it. And people go, "Is it that important?" I think it is that important, because people just sort of hit a point and they go, "Oh, look, they couldn't even get that word right," and it sort of undermines what you're trying to do. So. I think
absolutely,
it's, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I tell you what I use, though. I have some software where it speaks back to you. So you don't have to read it, you just sit and listen. And you pick up typos much quicker by listening. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if it's any help.
Well, what Andy and I did, we did the proof read-throughs, of course, but you can't pick everything up reading it through. As you say, Chris, Eric, as you say...
You can call me anything you like, as long as it's not too late for me dinner.
Okay, shithead. Right, that's fine.
And remember, everybody, this is a family show.
You know I didn't mean that, Chris.
I've known you long enough, don't worry.
What I was saying was, we actually do a read-through ourselves. We read it through to each other. So we'll take a chapter at a time, and we read it through over WhatsApp or over Zoom, or, whatever. And you do pick up. You're right. You do pick up much more errors and inconsistencies by actually reading it out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, of the books you've done, I was just looking at them again to remind myself. I mean, of course, I've got your banking books, John, and I've skimmed them. Please don't be offended. I've got so many, but I really, the scale of them, it's all the banking books, when I get them, they're just vast. People just, once they get into it, they go, but of the ones that you've done, of the clutch that you've done, the ever-growing list, is there one particularly that sticks out for some particular reason, a quirk, anything that's more memorable for you, maybe in the work of it, or what you thought the impact of it was, or what you discovered along the way? Any one of the books that you've done that you went, that was quite a bit of a revelatory moment or something?
Yeah, well, no, I think my first one, The Falsification of History, I get such amazing feedback about that, and the sales have just been phenomenal over the last kind of 13 years while it's been in publication. And everyone says, to me, and that's everyone. That's an exaggeration, John. Do you choose your words more carefully?
You're on radio. You can exaggerate as much as you like. Nobody can check it out, John. Go wild. Come on. Yeah.
Everybody in the world has said to me at one point in time that my book has been massively instrumental in their waking up process as to what's really going on in the world.
Fantastic.
That one is falsification of history, and it's very, very dear to my heart for that reason.
Yeah, it's the one that launched you into the space, and the one that... How long did that one take you to put together then, being the first one?
A long time.
Yeah.
Between 2 and 3 years. I had no idea how to, write and publish a book, so it was a very slow learning curve, shall we say.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
But I can just rattle them off now,
Can you?
Not quite, but...
and now novels. Is there I've got an idea why I think you might be doing novels, but I'd like to hear from you. Why have you chosen to start putting the information in novel format? Let's call it like that. What was the thinking behind that?
That's a very good question. Yeah, about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago, I have a friend who's another Paul, not you, and he said to me, John, your factual books are great, but why don't you write a novel? I said, well, why would I want to do that? And he said, for this reason. And that reason is, he said, a lot of people will not read because of the topics, and they will just dismiss it as conspiracy theory nonsense. He said, but if you dress it up in a novel form and drop thousands of truth bombs into it, you're going to get people interested maybe in the topics that you're talking about within the novel, and maybe they just might start researching for themselves, and, it's a good way of getting to those people who otherwise wouldn't read your work.
I think that's spot on. I really did. I mean, the more, I think, obviously let's say you started off as a researcher, we'll use that word, and most of the people listening here on Rumble have got an aspect to their personality that is that. So you've got people that are always going, the people that have got more questions than answers and are quite happy to continue to have questions, which I always think is a better position to be in. And what I noticed, and what I've noticed even when I was doing copywriting and stuff and everything, is that you can come up with lots of facts, but facts really don't sell very well.
Correct.
It's not facts that sell. I've often thought that, some of the most skilled writers are the old advertising copywriters. Of course, it's changed now. Electronic media has changed it, so you've got 15-second attention span on the receiving end of your messages, and that's bang. You've got to just do some. It's different. The whole sort of tone of the way people are communicated to. But I remember reading all the sort of old long copy ads by people like David Ogilvy, and then even older than that in the States. And it's extremely persuasive writing. They had a way of laying things out and turning them into stories. And whenever it goes into stories, it must be the case that people pick up things more rapidly through emotion, through a feeling, than they do through facts. Facts just don't seem to stick, but emotions, if you get people crying over something, literally, that's what Hollywood's all about, right? The emotional conditioning and control of the audience, it makes things very memorable. And we've just been talking here about Dr. Strangelove because it had a big impact because we've seen it. I mean, it's only a couple of hours long, and more people probably talk about films than they do about the books they've read. So I think, that's obviously got to be part of it, right? Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. But yeah, I mean, the point is that once you get labelled, as I have been over the years, as a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist and not at all a factual person,
right?
Once you get that reputation, people will just automatically dismiss your work without even looking into it in any depth whatsoever. So yeah, that was another reason. Dress it up as a novel, and more people are going to read it that wouldn't normally if it was presented as a factual book.
I mean, I've got to say that the main reason you're on is because you were referred to as a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, John. That was the whole. We think that's a big. No, not really.
Well, no. Oh, I'm disappointed now. Yeah.
No, we love conspiracy theory. I don't think there are any. You see, I think the phrase is stuck. People go. So I mean, whenever I get that one thrown at me, that's just you're a conspiracy theorist. I go, no. No, I'm a conspiracy analyst. It's a big, and you are. It's a big difference. There's actually a difference. And of course, this is to do with the way people abuse language or have to go to a default position when you are about to deliver some information into their head that's going to provide them with about 5 years of cognitive dissonance. That's why people get upset. I mean, we all do. I
Yeah.
include myself throughout my life. I go, no, I don't want to hear that right now. I'm only 15 or whatever. And you defend against something because you've got a sense that something's coming up about to upend your entire worldview, which it is, of course. It is, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd rather be a conspiracy theorist than a coincidence theorist. Because that's what all these people are who criticise.
Yes.
They just believe that everything's all a coincidence, and it's you're just exaggerating, and it's just coincidental. It's nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. Move along. Your government is caring for you as always.
Oh, John, I feel so reassured when you say it.
Well. that's just the kind of guy I am,
Oh, it's lovely. It's great. Nice, sort of reassuring.
But
there you go.
It is.
Do you find that name calling, though, is a bit like being back at school in the playground? You're a sissy, you're a this, you're a that. And it's exactly the same. It's a kind of childish mentality. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. So it puts you into the likes of Davy Icke when he was dressed in mauve on Wogan, Oh, you're a Davy, that sort of thing. And it's really said by ignorant people to silence you because what can you do against ignorance?
Yeah, exactly, Chris. I mean, for those out there who are not aware of where that actual epithet came from, it was actually coined by the CIA in the wake of the Kennedy assassination for those people who questioned and criticised the Warren Report. And somehow it's kind of stuck and become a catch-all term for anybody who disagrees with the government's agenda, basically.
I mean, this way that they have of coming up with these phrases, or whatever we want to call these labels, they're very, very effective. People don't realise how effective they almost like a little switch in the recipient's head that just shuts them down. They immediately stop in terms of participating in the conversation. A judgment is made that actually wasn't really made by them. It's just that they've received it from elsewhere and they apply it, and suddenly the conversation dies. It goes dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed, though, I don't know if you have with the people that you bump into, that sort of more intense negative reaction in the past is far less prevalent, certainly with the people that I tend to bump into. I think more and more people are showing the signs of the hidden question mark on the forehead than ever before, which is really encouraging, I have to say. I think that numerically it's still in the minority, but I think it's growing at quite a speed. I don't know what you think about that.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think what happened in the last 5 years has kind of contributed massively to that. To be fair, I've as part of what I do, I don't just write. I'm a public speaker as well. I go around talking to audiences up and down the country, and one thing I've noticed in the last few years is that people give a specific reason, and I don't mention it on YouTube, but the reason that they gave was a certain event that happened in 2021 and 2022, 2020 and 2021.
You mean COVID?
Oh, right.
I don't care about the YouTube channel. It's fine. We can talk about it a bit. It doesn't matter to me. We're actually pretty contained. And all you have to do is speak in code, John, if you want to. Everybody here, most of the audience know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about these things. So it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But I think the COVID thing has changed a lot of people. I mean, it was quite a devastating event psychologically, not in terms of whatever people say was going around. And I know some people got ill and some terrible things happened, but I'm dubious about what they're attributing the cause of that to. But the main thing, and we talk about this a lot, no doubt you noticed it, the real concern was the speed with which people put masks on. And that I found really disturbing. That was really, I thought, I really am in a zombie movie. And I know I'm not alone in that. You go, ooh, if this herd of non-thinking people who are going to comply with every instruction from government take a dislike to me, I'm toast. You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
I really sensed that for the first time. It's a bit like the witches in the Middle Ages going, ooh, she's a witch. I'm going, right, better clear off. Can't deal with that. Really, seriously, I think it's that bad.
Yeah, but I mean, talking about the epithet conspiracy theorist, just to kind of just plug back onto that tack for a minute. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just one of the things that I get called all the time. And I have this slide that I show on my stand-up talks, and it goes like this. I say, yes, John Hamer is just a conspiracy theorist, but not only am I a conspiracy theorist, I'm also apparently a racist, misogynistic, homophobic, Holocaust-denying, anti-Semitic, COVID-denying, anti-vaxxer, and a climate change-denying, anti-science, flat-earth loony, and extreme right-wing terrorist.
I should
So
bloody
I
well
usually-
hope so too. You're in good company
Yes,
because everybody
good
here has
company,
got
yes.
those labels stuck on their foreheads and backsides too, John. So spot on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I always get a round of applause at that point, which is rather gratifying.
Yeah,
Just
you
keeps me
should.
going.
Absolutely. I mean, I talk to people. This word "racist" is just it's a fascinating word
Yeah.
because it's the one who no, don't call me that. But that's breaking down too. I can feel it. It's breaking down. I get these conversations once you actually really go into it, and if you address it in a calm way, which it needs to. There's lots of pitfalls and little traps in the conversation that you have to sort of watch out for with the recipient, because they're ready to react, and I do understand why they're ready to react. I've got it. I'm thinking, if I was in your position, all I'd seen is mainstream news most of my life, and someone came up and started saying this to me, I'd probably throw a wobbler too. So you have to just back off when they're about to. There's no point because you can't. You just take them up to a point. You go, I think we'll stop now. You go away and have go and chew that over for a bit. And when I meet you in a month, we maybe talk about something else. And it works. I mean, for me, it works anyway as an approach. I think.
But
it's
isn't it strange? Isn't it strange though, Paul? Sorry to interrupt. That all those terms, all those. Labels, if you like, all those negative labels that I've just mentioned, they're all designed to shut down anyone who speaks out against any element of the prevailing agenda.
Yeah.
Each one of them has its own specific purpose, and it's got its own little niche that actually shuts down conversations. So, if I get accused of being a climate change denier, that's it. End of conversation. Somebody who comes out with those words, I've got nowhere to go. I can only reiterate what I'd been saying in the first place. But at that point, people have shut down anyway, so it's pointless. Because I'm just a climate change denier, for example.
Well, that word, which is applied to more than just climate change, that word denier is very effective. When you break it down, it's saying, the person who's saying that is saying, look, the assumed truth that everybody knows. That's what the truth that everybody, we all know this. You're denying the truth. And that's a word that's been coined specifically, whereas it's not. You're really not a denier. You're a climate change questioner. I'd say, no, I'm just asking questions about it. Am I not allowed to do that? Can we not question a thing? Are you saying that we can't do that? I mean, if you're saying we can't question a thing, how are we possibly going to discover what's coming up next week? You're going to keep asking questions for the rest of your life. And I tend to think that most people, on very simple level, have chosen convenience over the temporary discomfort of asking uncomfortable questions. And it's getting really on a micro level with each individual is because at school, what were they told? Shut up, stop asking questions. Hang on.
Exactly.
How am I supposed to learn out?
And I was just going to say that they've actually been programmed throughout their entire lives to not ask questions, to accept the mainstream point of view. So anybody who goes against that, it jars in their brain, and they can't cope with it. So that's where the labels come into their own, because they can, use them as a cop out. You're a racist. You're a COVID denier. You're an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. So it's brilliant, really. I mean, you've got to take your hats off to these people that devise this stuff. Yeah. They're not stupid people. Evil, but not stupid.
No, they're not. I think there was a comment, really, you talking there about that thing with the CIA coining the phrase conspiracy theorist. I've got a document somewhere kicking around that they worked out, there was some kind of internal report in the CIA, that the most effective way to condition a people is through having them read things. Reading books is still the one that's the deepest sort of programming, because most people tend to read books in an unconscious state. I don't know what that would be, theta, beta, alpha waves. They've got the descriptions for all these sort of states of consciousness that you're in, and I think they're valid as well. And I think it's that. I mean, they use the visuals and the sound for emotional, which is very powerful. But I think that the deep stuff is through the words, and we can go back to Orwell for that, because Orwell was right on the money. With all of that stuff, all these observations with regards to that. Anyway, we're just coming up to the end of the first hour, John, at which point I tend to play a song. We do a bit of station identification. It's that sort of gig, right? And seeing as how we were talking about how you write things, I don't think you write them like this, but this is a very old song. Actually, when I say very old, I think it's 1950s, this. Yeah, it's the 1950s. We were talking about it the other week. It's by... Leroy Anderson and his orchestra from America, and you'll have all heard this before. We're going to play this. We'll be back. I'm here with John Hamer and Eric Von Essex. We'll be back after this short break. Go and have don't have anything. Listen to this. It's great.
Attention all listeners. Are you seeking uninterrupted access to WBN 324 Talk Radio despite incoming censorship hurdles? Well, it's a breeze. Just grab and download Opera Browser, then type in WBN324.zil. And stay tuned for unfiltered discussions around the clock. That's WBN324.zil.
The views, opinions, and content of the show hosts and their guests appearing on the World Broadcasting Network are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of its owners, partners, and other hosts or this network. Thank you for listening to WBN 324 Talk Radio.
And welcome back after that short, sharp, and really rather brilliant little track. And obviously, John, that would have been you if you'd had a Smith Corona typewriter, I'm assuming, right? Fingers flying like Billy.
Well, if I'd been about 94 years old, then yes, probably, yeah.
Well, don't worry, you will be one day. I love the sound of typewriters. Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard a typing, Paul, in full pelt? Because that's what they used to have, horrendous noise. Yeah. That's something you don't get now. That all died, about 30 years ago?
It's quite an exciting sound, really. I always quite liked. I quite like it. And we've talked here about the speed of things with typewriters and stuff. I mean, this is a boring fact, but the keyboard layout was laid out for speed, and they used to jam all the keys up, and that's why we ended up with this QWERTY layout, which is awkward intentionally for your fingers. I remember looking at these more speedy typewriter layouts that they invented, but no one could get used to them because we'd all learnt QWERTY as we grew up. But cracking little song, the typewriter song, fantastic.
And sorry, I didn't mean to chime in, but I am but did you know the one word you can spell along the top rank of the typewriter?
I'm about to find out. Go on.
Is the word typewriter?
I thought it was QWERTY UEOP.
It is QWERTY UEOP. TYP, yeah, you can actually. It's got all the letters on to spell typewriter. TYPEWRITER. Yes, it's all there.
Right.
My dad was in the trade, and he said there was a very embarrassing incident once where the mechanics used to go out servicing typewriters for, lots of big companies and that. And there was a lady that was, shall we say, well developed in the chest area, and she kept complaining. Just did. And she was very angry because the carriage kept sweeping across as she was typing, and the mechanic was too embarrassed to tell her, "Excuse me, dear, it's your bus that's hitting the bloody what do you call it, the space bar." And so that was happening. It was a bus, and that was the days when people were a little embarrassed. I mean, nowadays it's just, "Excuse me, dear, your boobs are in a space bar," but no, it took
your magnificent bosom, madam, is causing havoc with the typewriter return carriage system. Yeah, well, probably today she would claim for bruising, no doubt, an injury, typewriter injury. Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, the golden days of typing. Not much of a topic, is it really? Anyway, swiftly moving on. The novel writing approach, I think, is right. Just tapping back into that. Not that I've read novels recently. I was trying to read one. I can't remember if I tried to read one recently. I just end up sort of plunging back into sort of historical stuff all the time, and I've got used to it. And I've forgotten about the magic of novels when they do transport you into. Although the other week we were talking about those great. I was anyway banging on about these great Russian novelists and all that kind of stuff. I learnt so many interesting new words when I started reading all those guys, when it's translated into English, that kind of stuff, and that develops your vocabulary. But in terms of formats, John, so you're a writer, you're going out doing public speaking. You know these short, blasty, 40-second YouTube video things? Have you ever thought of, looked at, or been approached by anybody to sort of start parceling some of the nuggets of data that you have in your books into these little sort of teasers, for want of a better?
It would any nugget from any of my books would probably last about 30 seconds on YouTube, so no.
Right. But that's exactly the point. Have you seen them? These are literally 30-second videos, and they're people are grazing them in huge numbers. I'm just interested in people's attention span. I mean, we were talking earlier about reading, and I think maybe when I was talking to you the other day, I was talking about this. There you are. For example, you've produced those two banking books. The first one's 700 pages. The next one a similar sort of length. And I'm thinking, okay. Do I know people? I mean, I've lent books to people that are sort of pretty big, and they've all come back. They go, I can't finish it. And I'm going, what are you? A baby or something? But it sounds a bit cocky. I do understand it. You have to cut some slack in your life. And I think what's happened with the smartphone, more than not the PC. The PC's cool still, or the desktop thing, because you're using it there. You're sending a signal back to yourself, I'm here to do work. But the smartphone is this invasive technology that's absorbing everybody's sort of attention all the time. And this sort of, do you think people can focus long enough to absorb information in a long format?
Again, good question. I don't get any complaints. Nobody ever comes to me and says, I'd love to read your book, but it's just too big for me. I've never heard that. But, it's possible that there are people who feel that way, but don't say it. So, I take the point. But, again, most people who do read my books say they really enjoyed them. And, despite the length kind of thing. But there you go. I don't know.
I came across this cracking little quote, which it's about 3 paragraphs. I want to read bits of it out. It's really interesting. It's from a guy called Andrew Sullivan, who I think I've read a lot of his stuff a few years ago. I don't think he's as active at the moment, but he's got a Substack account. And he wrote this about the AI thing, which I find quite interesting. He said, for Facebook and Google and Instagram and Twitter, the business goal quickly became maximizing and monetizing human attention via addictive dopamine hits. Attention, they meticulously found, is correlated with emotional intensity, outrage, shock, and provocation. Give artificial intelligence this simple knowledge about what distracts and compels humans, let the algorithms do their work, and the profits snowball. The cumulative effect, and it's always in the same incendiary direction, is to mass detachment from reality. Do you think that that's got some sort of legs as a comment?
I think that's probably very true. And people have said to me, why don't you use AI to create your story? And I just think that is absolutely cheating. Any silly sod can do that. Any silly sod can do that. Tap into an AI software program and just give it a few bits of random information and say, there you go, mate. Create a story. And it can do it in about 3 seconds, apparently. I know. And and I just think, wow, I'd be ashamed of myself if I did that, to be honest, Paul.
Yeah, I think anybody... Yeah, well, I know a lot of people businesses are using it for the sort of mundane email response and all this kind of stuff and everything. But I was going to say, John, that because you come from the north, right, we've always had something better than AI up north, which is OI. And I think OI is way better. Yeah. The sort of the completely cynical response. You're bloody joking, aren't you?
OI.
OI. Yeah, it's actually superior to AI. Although,
and how what about how much? That's a good.
How much?
The Yorkshire mantra.
The northern battle
cry.
Much? How much? I say it all the time. I use it all the time down here with all these southern checkout ladies. They're all whatever they say. £17. How much? I said, and then I'd say it quite seriously, and they look at me slightly askance and say, I'm only joking. It's okay. Here's your money. Or is it money? I say, and then I want to go for another one. What is it? I've just given you.
Yeah.
All that kind of
stuff. Another one that confuses those dastardly southerners is another Yorkshire phrase, tin, tin, tin. It isn't in the tin. Tin, 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 tin.
Yeah. It's not about Tintin. Now, if you're a southerner, I've got to apologise for John's rough description of you just there.
I'm a southerner. I'm a bleeding southerner.
Well, that's payback for being called Northern Monkey a million times a year. So there you go.
Have you?
We're not from Hartlepool, Hartley. You're not from Hartlepool.
Have you called him a Northern Monkey, Eric? What's going on? Is this?
No, because he's not from Hartlepool. It's only if he's from Hartlepool. Because
you're talking about the Napoleonic monkey, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
The monkey hangers. That's what they call people from Hartlepool, monkey hangers.
Yeah, the hangers of monkeys. Now, some people may not know what the hell we're talking about. So
not even I do, don't I? Yeah, I do, really. Yeah.
You do. Anybody want to... I don't have to... If anybody wants to fill them in, someone take the mic and let them know about the Hartlepool monkey hangers. No? Any takers?
Me?
Yeah,
right,
go on.
Yeah, all right.
I'll do it. Right, okay, yeah. During the Napoleonic Wars, about 200 years ago, or just slightly more than 200 years ago, a a ship docked in Hartlepool Harbour. It's on the northeast coast of England, and a pet monkey, escaped from it. And the people of Hartlepool had never seen or heard of a monkey because this was a long, long time ago. They were illiterate people. They couldn't read books. They didn't have zoos in those days. There was no Discovery Channel showing them all the wonderful wildlife from Africa and other places so they didn't know what this little creature was. They actually thought it was a French spy, because they didn't know what a Frenchman was either, because they'd never seen one of those. They thought it was a French spy because it was dressed in clothes, little monkey clothes. And so they tried it. It couldn't speak English, obviously, so that definitely confirmed it was French, and in their minds. And so they hanged it. Poor little bugger. And it's true. It's a true story.
It's awful. It is. It's true. It's true. Yeah. It's absolutely true. True or false?
It is.
That's true. Yes, it's absolutely like a true or false thing.
And Hartlepool people are very proud of that. They hung a French spy, so don't upset them.
So that is the origin of that abusive term that Southerners sometimes deliver at Northern. You northern monkey. Right, that one.
I don't know whether it's the origin of that, but Southerners use it a lot. Northern monkey,
Yeah.
I just say I'm a northern git. I just say no. I'm actually a northern git, and they. Oh yeah, that's right. So I don't mind. It's all right. I think if you take the abuse out of their mouth before they've had a chance to deliver it, they know that it's not going to go too far. That's the way you actually undermine. You insult yourself so heavily. I think this is why foreigners have a big problem with us, right? Because we sort of laugh when we're insulted. We go, well, yeah, I've grown up with that. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't take insults and throw them out, what are you doing? I mean, it's just based on that. Verbal abuse is a byword for the English language almost. Yeah.
But the best comedians come from up north. I mean, Bernard Manning, he was from Manchester, and a lot from Liverpool and Ireland. There's not that many southern comedians.
That's all being shut down now because those comedians used to exist on insulting people, which is now no longer allowed in our politically correct world. They used to call people names now that would not be tolerated by today's, gentle little flower generation.
No.
They just wouldn't, because it's now considered abusive, racist, or whatever ist. But it's definitely have an ist on the end of the word, wherever it is.
It's because
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I chimed in because I'm rude like that. Sorry about that. I was going to say is that they're terrified of humour because they don't understand humour and they know how powerful it is. Because Ceausescu was brought down by humour. People laughed. And he actually banned comedians. So they did a miming act, which was even more funny. Yeah. And I'll never forget there was Bernard Manning. He used to have his own... what was his name? He had his own club, didn't he? And he was there on the mic, and there was a bit of a kerfuffle going on in the back of the room. And he says, "Good evening, sir. Good evening. Oh, aren't you with a beautiful woman? Oh, blimey, it's better than the old bag you was with last night."
I remember seeing, obviously everybody's heard of Roy Chubby Brown. If you haven't, you're in for a...
Yeah.
I don't know if treat's the right word. You're in for something sonic. And I first heard him on my mate's tape recorder in 1979 when we were in the back of a transit van going down to Newquay, which is not far from where you've just been, John, eating too much ice cream a few weeks ago, I understand. And it was amazing because I'd never heard such vulgarity and every single foul word thrown in all at once. And never has anybody said the C word so funnily. He says that, see you next Tuesday. It's very, very funny. And about a year later, I'm on the east side of Leeds, and there's a place called the Garforth Working Men's and Miners Club. They still had all these working men's clubs up there, and it's only about 3 miles. And Roy Chubby Brown was on a Friday night, so we went to see him. And what you said, John, was absolutely the case. There was a little old lady down at the front drinking 2 halves of Mackerson stout, that is, like Guinness. And he just basically verbally abused her all night, and it was hilarious. And she didn't mind at all because she became part of the act. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he didn't hold back. And that's what made it so funny. It was extremely rough and abrasive. And it's almost like everybody's going, insult me next. It's like, I don't mind, you don't care. And it's a great way of breaking down sort of people being precious. Anybody that gets precious, you're in for a hiding. You can't. Oh, that's offensive. You don't want to be saying stuff like that. You'll get absolutely lathered. My mum always used to say, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't have joined. And that's really what it's about.
Oh yeah, but well, that's right. But I mean, Mel Brooks, who I don't rate very much as a comedian, he did say one true thing. He said, "Humour is bad taste," and it is. Humour is bad taste.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
It's that awkward moment. That's why. Well, Eric, as a master of the humour that comes from the lavatorial realm, you're a living proof of that. Surely,
yes.
You're walking up to that little edge of bad taste and hopping around on it. And sometimes we plunge into the abyss, and other times we escape back to sanity. That's really what's going on. Yeah.
But I think the skill of humour has gone now because it used to be like innuendo, all double meaning, all the time.
Yeah.
So that children could hear it and it wasn't rude because they wouldn't understand it. But adults would be off their seat with laughter. And that's the thing, that skill has gone. You see, last time
comedians, sorry to interrupt, Chris, I'm just going to say modern comedians are just awful. I just switch them off. I mean, they're just absolutely dreadful.
Well, they're not
funny.
It's not funny,
and it's not.
No,
it's not funny.
It's a bit of a problem if it's not funny. It really, back in I was working in London in the 80s, and there was a sort of an increase in sort of stand-up comedians or spontaneous amateur nights. They were all over the place in these sort of wine bars. That was it. Wine bars sprang up everywhere, probably up north too, but a lot of wine bars. And it used to be, we'd work and we'd go down to this one in Kilburn, where I was based at the time. And I remember going there one night, and this guy, so he didn't have a stage. Everybody just stood on the floor, and this guy sort of moves to a certain part of the room and starts doing his thing. And he had this sort of massive cavalier hat on, which was his way of getting visual attention and all that kind of stuff. And he was really, really bad. It was just awful. Yeah. All this energy and not one ounce of wit, nothing, no engagement with the audience. It's just blasting energy out everywhere. And a guy behind me, very quietly during a little lull, said, "Why not try a joke?" That was the funniest thing. Why not try a joke? Go, just try one. Yeah. And it was, I thought, that's it. I think we better go now. Poor lad. It's a bit of a beating you take emotionally when you don't hit, and many of them don't hit at all.
One of them took over from a very bad comedian. He said, "It's humour, Jim, but not as we know it."
Yeah.
And that was basically it. Yeah. But no, you're right. There isn't any good. And the other thing is the old comedians learnt timing because they did all the working men's clubs and the tough places, and they learnt their trade. My uncles, they learnt their trade. They knew how to deliver a gag. It took a long time. They said there's like an apprenticeship that you did where you did it yourself walking off the stage where people didn't laugh until you learned the timing and things like that. So
Brezel Blitz in YouTube, evening all, says that Roy Chubby Brown is doing a show at the Mecca in Swindon. Hey, not far from me. Swindon, that's in Wiltshire, right? 28th of November. Yeah, how about that? I don't know how old he is. He must be knocking on a bit now. He must be late 70s, early 80s. But you can't tell because he always looked ancient early on. Yeah, he always looked pretty ancient early. What's his name? Royston Vasey. And that lent his name to that
Royston
town
Vasey,
in that comedy so-called thing.
League of Gentlemen.
That's it, yeah. Royston Vasey.
League of Gentlemen.
They named it after him. Yeah, brilliant stuff.
And he made a cameo appearance in it as well.
Yeah.
As the mayor of Royston Vasey.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be
He did,
yeah. I want to read something from one of your books, John. But you didn't write it. It's a quote. I just want to write this quote. Oh. One of the returning themes here is usury, right? So we always have a little bit where we usually talk about usury, don't we, Eric? Always, because it's just like...
Usury we do, yes.
repetition's key. And this is a good one. I'd had this. I was just going through the whole of your books today, just marking a couple of things up and just having a look at stuff. This is a little lengthy, but it's great. Apart from which, the guy that said it is Sir Frederick Soddy, an unfortunate name, but this is a really excellent little quote. Right, it is. I mean, after he'd ended, so he hangs around with Rutherford, splits atoms, gets bored, and goes, "I'll just work out what's wacky about banking." Anyway, one of the he wrote a very, it's quite an intense book about banking. It's not actually the most readable of books, but this quote's excellent. He wrote this. He says, "The whole profit of the issuance of money has provided the capital of the banking business as it exists today. Starting with nothing, whatever of their own, the bankers have got the whole world into their debt irredeemably by a trick. This money comes into existence every time the banks lend and disappears," very important that, "every time the debt is repaid to them. So that if industry tries to repay, the money of the nation disappears. That is what makes prosperity so dangerous, as it destroys money just when it is most needed and precipitates a slump. There is nothing left now for us but to get ever deeper and deeper into debt to the banking system in order to provide the increasing amounts of money the nation requires for its expansion and growth. An honest money system is the only alternative." Frederick Soddy, 1877 to 1956, English radio chemist who received the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1921. That nails it. It's a very exact...
Absolutely.
It's a very exact quote. You don't need much more than that in a way, although it's good to have the other stuff.
There's a great meme that I use in my stand-up presentation that I do about money, and it's based on the old, everybody's heard this one, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And then I follow that up immediately with, give a man a gun and he can rob a bank, give a man a bank and he can rob the world.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what they're doing right now. That's what they're doing. Right. That dynamic that Soddy's addressing there, though, is another one of these hidden vices that's in this system. It's an amazing thing. People don't realise. Because what have the government said to all of you your entire life? Economic growth. They're always talking about it. Economic growth. They're talking about it this week, right? The solution to our problems. I heard someone this morning being interviewed on Mike Graham going into this old thing, and I'm going, good grief, this thinking is just ancient, wrong, plain wrong, and mad, and won't solve anything. And, you know, I've got to come back to, what's his name? Godfrey Bloom, when he stood up in the European Parliament and said, the problem is, you twats. He should have said that. None of you understand how banking works. Banks do a thing that if you and I did it privately, we'd be locked up. Why is this not on the news every night as a public information service? It's going to be on radio. That's why if we can get these little things all wrapped up, we've got so much work to do, but they need to be repeated like on the hour, every hour. And now here's the same message you heard an hour ago again, because we need to drive it into your head. You've got to get this. This is the number one, in my view, right? The number one pragmatic plague that has infected all of us. The idea, so, you know, what's the point of getting prosperous? Because all the money you're using to create your prosperity is carrying interest on it. So you're just going to be in an even bigger hole in another 3 years' time. And then there's another economic crisis, and the government say, oh, no, you need to vote this party in now because they can sort it out. Of course, they turn up and they go, what have the Labour people been going? Oh, there's a £12 billion hole or something. So what? So what? It doesn't matter how big it is. The numbers are irrelevant, you know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, preaching to the converted here, I'm sure, but the banks, they don't use any form of legitimate accounting whatsoever. Their accounting systems are completely fraudulent because they don't use double entry bookkeeping. They create money from nothing.
Yep.
You know, they add it to the credit side of the ledger without debiting it from the debit side, taking it away from the debit side of the ledger. That's just a very, very simple, glib comment, but it's true, and it's what's commonly known as fraud.
I think it is. Theft, I think, is really what it is. It's just plain theft. You know, fraud's another fancy term, but you're right. I mean, that's the word that they would use. I mean, it's a bit rich, isn't it, when you've got three blokes here down the Fockham Arms without a pint who know more than the entire political class, or at least more than the entire political class will ever let on. I mean, because they don't have a full stock of the actual true knowledge. I believe this, by the way, the political class don't have it. They've got a sort of pared down idiot economics version in their head. They're never going to have discussions that are ever going to be able to address the root engineering problem here. because I've never heard it ever. I mean, you know the thing, obviously, John, Question Time by the BBC. I've said here before, have you ever heard an actual question on it in 40 years? I haven't. I mean, one that counts. No one says, you know.
Shut it down. Not that I listen to it, because it's utter tripe.
Of course.
But, have you ever tried to explain usury, though, to a person? Because I've found that 50-50, many people don't get it. You explain, and it's very, very simple. All it is making money from nothing. That's all they're doing. It's fraud.
It's charging interest on lending. That's what usury is. But the thing is that they've changed. They're using Orwellian manipulation of words. They've changed the meaning of usury over the years. I think a 19th century version of the Oxford English Dictionary just simply defined usury as charging money at interest. But now if you look at the Oxford English Dictionary, it says charging money at unreasonably high rates of interest.
Yeah.
That's completely distorted the actual meaning of the word.
Spot on. Another word they've used is excessive. I think that the church, when Calvin was saying a little bit of usury is okay. No, Mr. Calvin, absolutely no way. He was contravening about 1,000 years of good teaching from those organisations. I'm not massively impressed with organised churches, but it's swings and roundabouts. There's good people being in those places. And so they used the word excessive. It's not. It's any amount. And it used to be any amount. So I even liked a more simpler definition, which is usury is the charging of money to use money. It doesn't matter what it is. You pay a fee to use money. Hang on, just a minute. Yeah. And we know that they've got their percentage interest rates. I mean, it is absolutely ludicrous. Of course, they're going to try out. I don't know what's the debt here in the UK? 3 trillion quid now, is it, or something? I mean, it's
pushing on to 4 now.
Is it?
On to 4 now. Yeah.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
Jolly good. They can't. How are they ever going to come up with solutions when they're not asking the right questions? So there's that old phrase, and this is part of this media control. If they get you asking the wrong questions, it doesn't matter what answers they give you. And that's an entire sort of paradigm for the media, is that all the so-called questions are phrased as a question. You look at Prime Minister's Question Time. It's a bloody tea party for monkeys. People from Hartlepool, they've got a field day if they go in there. Those are your bloody monkeys, mate. Throw them in the Thames. It's just mad.
You're right.
Yeah. I don't know where we go from here.
But the thing is, it's just pure ignorance, isn't it? That's how it survives. Because Henry Ford was correct, and I can't sort of repeat it verbatim, but you probably know what I'm going to say. He said, if people knew the truth about the banking industry, there'd be a revolution before tomorrow morning. He's spot on.
Exactly. It's the greatest and most profitable scam the world has ever seen. If you get a mortgage from a bank, you'll be paying it back for 25 years or 30 years or whatever it is. But if you rob a bank, you'll be out in 10 years. So if you need any more financial advice, just let me know.
I like that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Don't mind jail. Have we got the solution for you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw that the Irish have got some islands over on the west coast, which is probably pretty rough, with these uninhabited old crofters places. You can have one, and they'll give you 80 grand to do it up if you want to go live there. That's one way of getting away from everything, but it does look a bit bleak, and I would imagine it probably receives there's probably at least 200 days a year of rain out there on the west coast of Ireland. It must be just, if anybody's looking for a free house, anyway, I think there was something in the Mail Online the other day about that Irish company. They give you 80 grand to go and get your house done up. I don't know how you get the builders out there, but you can go live there and, use seashells for money and stuff like that. They probably wouldn't have too much usury if you moved over there. So, yeah. I also noticed, John,
yes,
this wonderful quote you've got from Mencken. And if people are not familiar with H.L. Mencken, then it's a gap in your education, I would suggest, which is a bit stern of me, like a schoolmaster, but it is, because Mencken's absolutely fantastic. He's the first really great, truly withering, sneering journalist at the political class. Absolutely tremendous. He just is. And this one here, which people will have known, but I want to just read it out. It's very brief, shorter than the other one. He says, the whole aim of practical politics, and we're living under this right now, is to keep, and we've always been living under it, is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety, that's the key bit, by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, all of them imaginary. All of them, including the economic ones, the war ones, all of them are completely concocted scenarios to create fear and to herd the masses into some stupid condition like COVID was, obviously.
Well, if you wear a mask, it causes bacterial pneumonia. So a lot of people went down with something nasty because they wear a mask all day.
Did you say a mask or a basque?
A mask.
Oh, a mask. Sorry, not a mask.
M-A-S-K, yes. An ask.
No, a mask has got an R in it, surely. Mask.
Can you tell that John's from the north, Eric?
Oh, yes.
You're a bit slow on the uptake there, Chris.
It's all right.
Oh, yes.
Chris, you probably have a bath, don't you?
I'm getting on a bit.
When I'm down south, I have a bath. But up north, I have a bath.
Yes.
Aye.
I do, yeah. I have a bath. Yeah.
And also, we're posh down here because we get out the bath to do a wee. You see, that's why we're posh. That's the difference. Yeah. And we don't wash our socks. And we don't wash our socks while we're in a bath as well. You know?
Oh no! I wouldn't dream of doing that. I do mine in the shower.
Yeah. We're thrifty up north, Eric. We have to make do with all bit of water we've got. You know, you can do everything all in one go. It's an economic.
Well, we're
way
a
of
bit
doing
thrifty
things.
here.
Yeah.
We're a bit posh. We have bubble baths, but you have to eat a tin of beans beforehand.
Right.
Very funny.
You have to think about that. Yes. By the way, we haven't mentioned your book, John, Behind the Curtain, which is an excellent book. Talks about tally sticks and things like that, which people are unaware of.
Tally sticks, yeah, they're a very interesting concept. They were a legal currency for several hundred years, from the Middle Ages, well, actually from the end of the Dark Ages, right up until the 18th, even into the early 19th century. Tally sticks were legal currency. And the way that worked was, they just took a piece of wood, like a piece of oak twig, off a tree, and it was about maybe 1 or 2 feet long. They were all different lengths because they're obviously all just bits of wood that they found. But what they did was they actually carved notches into them, unique notches into each one, and then split them down the middle. So that was a way of saying, this is how much money you've got in the bank. And the only way you could prove that you got that money in the bank was providing the other half, and they would put them together when you went in to get your gold out or whatever. And if it matched, then yes, you're entitled to that amount of gold or silver or whatever precious metal. So yeah, it was very, very, very simple idea, but very, very well thought out. I mean, obviously it had disadvantages. Obviously, hugely inconvenient to carry, sticks around with you. A little bit inflexible, and also non-transferable as well. But it was an interesting concept.
It was. It's got crypto beat. I also thought it was very interesting, that bit that you put in. I think it's the same book when you're talking about tally sticks, about the Irish guy whose name was Furlong. That story.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
That's right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was the guy who was supposed to be tending the boilers in the old Houses of Parliament before the Palace of Westminster, and he fell asleep or something, and the fire got out of control and burnt the bloody place down, along with all the tally sticks that people had the after. So that was quite unfortunate.
It is.
Whether it was deliberate, that could have been a false flag, I'm just thinking about that right now.
Yeah, I was when I read it today.
Wheeze.
Yeah, I was familiar with it, but I was flicking through and went, oh, yeah, that one. And I'd forgotten his name was Furlong, which is interesting because it's a measurement of length and all that kind of stuff. And it's quite interesting. Yeah, and of course, he managed to achieve what Guido Fawkes did not achieve.
He did,
which is quite, yeah. So don't send a Yorkshireman when you need to send an Irishman to burn down the Houses of Parliament. It's something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I saw on a similar theme. I saw a great meme the other day. Well, I've had it quite a while, but I actually posted it on Twitter, and it was just a picture of the. I don't know what that road's called along the road where the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben is, but it was like a photograph taken of that, and some wag had put one of those yellow roadworks signs on one of the up against one of the islands with the bollards on, and it said, in bold black background, gunpowder deliveries, first right. And I thought, fantastic, that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So,
you're also an expert on the Titanic. I get that sinking feeling that you are.
Yeah. Thank you. I am, but I don't like to, blow my own trumpet. But I am. Yes, I am an expert on it.
Expert, but I bet you I've got a story here that even you may not know about.
Okay.
Which I found out over the last week.
Yes.
The boilerman had a pet cat, a stray, that had kittens, and it was nice and warm in the boiler place when he used to feed the cat.
It would have been nice and warm in the boiler. Yeah.
That's right. Not literally in it. And the cat took each one of its kittens along the gangplank or wherever and took it off the Titanic before it sailed.
Right.
And the boilerman had a funny feeling, and he didn't sail. And the cat must have known something, because the kittens were saved, the cat was saved, and the boilerman was saved.
Yeah.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, another interesting story in a similar vein about the Titanic was that all the what we could call the transit crew, which actually took it down from Belfast, where it had been built and tested, down the Irish Sea and round the corner of Cornwall, along the southern coast of England, and up the Solent, and then up Southampton Water to Southampton, where it was due to make its maiden voyage. About 100 of those people, and there was 100 people on the transit crew, not a single one of them signed on for the maiden voyage. And bearing in mind that was in the midst of a huge coal strike, nobody had any work, nobody in the seafaring industry had any work, and of course in those days there was no social security, no dole. If you weren't working, you didn't get paid. You starved, or you relied on the charity of friends and family. But not a single one of them signed on for the maiden voyage. I wonder why that was.
Weird, isn't it?
Do you think they knew a thing or two, John? Do you think maybe in Workman's Cafe, canteen, they probably said, I don't think so. They must have known.
Exactly. Well, exactly, because obviously the guys who built the damn thing knew exactly what was going on. I mean, I actually, when I was doing my research, which took me about 2.5 years, on the Titanic, the real Titanic story, not the garbage that they tell us, I actually put an advert in the Belfast Evening newspaper, the Telegraph, Evening Telegraph, I think it's called. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I put an advert in asking for the families or the descendants of any of the ship workers at that time if they wouldn't mind being interviewed by me. And 3 people replied, and I duly flew over there, made an appointment to see them, met them in a pub, not all together, individually, and they all told me the same story, and that was that their grandfather or great-grandfather, whichever one it happened to be, had actually been warned by the shipyard, by the owners of the shipyard, that if they ever breathed a word about what was actually going on behind those dock gates, then not only would they never work again, anywhere, not just at Harland and Wolff, but anywhere, and neither would any of their families. So, that would have been a death sentence in those days.
Yeah.
So, they all told that same story. And apparently one of the families said to me, that up to 50 years ago, well, it'll be 60 years ago now because this is over 10 years ago, but up to 60 years ago, children in Belfast were still being taught the story that Titanic and Olympic were switched in the schools.
In Belfast?
In Belfast, yeah. They've obviously put a stop to that now, but that was the case up until 60 years ago. Yeah, the children at school were taught that the identities of the ships have been sunk, and it was the Olympic that went down and not the Titanic.
John, I've not read your book on the Titanic.
Insurance job.
All right, an insurance job. But it also seemed to, was it 2 birds with 1 stone, potentially? You've got the Astors on there and that other big family. And those families, as I understand it, were in opposition to the formation of the Federal Reserve. And so they'd got most of the opposition to the Federal Reserve on this boat, this massive ship. Do you think that that's a key part of why it was organized? Not only did they get the insurance, it's akin to the Twin Towers with Larry Silverstein putting out that
Exactly
colossal
that.
insurance policy. Yeah, exactly the same.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they actually, when they switched the identity, I'm giving the story away now. Damn, people aren't going to buy it now. Oh, they may do. Not only did they switch the identities of the ships, but they upped the insurance. White Star Line used to insure their ships for about 75% of the value. I don't know why, but that's what they did. 75% of the value. But the insurance on Titanic / Olympic was upped from 1.8 million, which doesn't sound like a lot of money in today's terms, but it was an absolute colossal fortune in nearly 120 years ago, 115 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Colossal fortune. So they upped 2 weeks before the ship sailed, they upped the insurance by almost 50%.
Right.
And and then Lloyd's of London, who were the insurers or the brokers, they paid out within 2 weeks of the disaster. And when asked why they paid out so quickly, they said, "Well, it's obvious that it happened. There's nothing to investigate." Not, we know it happened, but why did it happen and what were the circumstances?
Yep.
Nobody asked that question.
And
they just paid out. That's good. Just like, as you say, exactly.
it saved the White Star Line, didn't it? Because the White Star Line was bankrupt, and it actually that
Not
insurance.
immediately.
Are you wrestling with a monkey, Eric? Because we're getting lots of mic stand sounds.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. I'm just adjusting it.
Is that a euphemism, that, wrestling with that?
Well, it is now. I said it quite innocently, tapping into the Hartlepool story. But no, it's already bent off. You're of the same persuasion as Eric. Everything's got that double entendre-ism to it. But yeah.
Yes, I had a bit of trouble with my microphone stand.
Yeah, I could tell.
As Chris would say, you got to have a laugh, ain't you?
You do.
By God.
By God. You've got to have a laugh. You do.
But you said about White Star Line, because I thought it saved the day for them. I thought because there was.
It saved them from immediate bankruptcy, but they were bought out by Cunard in the very early 1930s.
No need to swear, John.
Cunard, the Cunard line. They were bought out in the early 30s or late 20s. The exact date escapes me. But they were bought out because they were no longer a going concern, and it was partly the Titanic thing that sunk them. He said, "That's very funny, isn't it?"
Is there any? I'm very vague on this because I only read an article years ago about this, and of course I didn't clip it and keep it. Something to do with the presence of a Jesuit priest at the quayside, either in Southampton or in Ireland, that was involved in some part of the plot to take it down. Is there something in there about that? Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I actually don't mention that in the book.
All right.
It was called something Brown. Anyway, I can't remember his name. But the reason I didn't mention it was because my research didn't turn up an awful lot about it. But I've heard the rumours that he was intrinsically involved in masterminding the plot. A lot of people think that the Jesuits are behind everything, including, banking, etc. I don't know whether that's true or not. Again, it's not something I've gone into any detail with. It's possibly true. I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand. But he actually boarded the ship at Southampton.
That's it.
And again, a few people don't know this, but Titanic actually made 2 stops. When it left Southampton, first of all, it went to Cherbourg in France, picked up a few people, dropped a few off, and then it went to Queenstown in Ireland, which is now called Cove, C-O-B-H, pronounced Cove. And dropped a few people off there as well, and 1 or 2 people got on it as well. He boarded at Southampton and departed at Queenstown. So whether that's suspicious or not, I don't know. Draw your own conclusions, really.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about the gun battle? I mean, there was I haven't found much information. Well, there's no real meat on the bone with this, but apparently there was said to be a gun battle on board between.
It wasn't so much a battle. It was William Murdoch, who was the first officer. So he was like the third in command. There was a captain, the chief officer, then Murdoch, who was the first officer. he apparently shot quite a few passengers, then was so appalled at what he'd done, he turned the gun on himself.
Well, this was after the ship was going down, or after they knew it was mortally wounded or whatever. He had to shoot a few passengers, did he?
Yeah, because they were charging the lifeboats. The third class passengers were the ones that had escaped from down below, because most of them were locked in.
Yeah.
The ones that were roaming freely actually swarmed the lifeboats, and they were going to cause a disaster of their own rather than the ship sinking. So he started shooting them. He warned them to get back a few times. They didn't take any notice, so he fired a few shots in the air, and then he started shooting them. Mm-hmm. And then he was so remorseful, allegedly, for what he'd done, he shot himself.
Yeah, not a good situation for anybody. You don't want to be. The idea is to not be in those situations, but I guess they didn't have any choice by then, did they? I suppose you must have felt, if you're one of those people that alighted at Cherbourg, I wonder how they felt. That'd make an interesting film. Well, there's one or two people whose stories that had premonitions about it being a disaster, and decided not to board at the last minute. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a strong in the memory, because obviously they made the film about it, didn't they? With all that that song, and what's his name, Leonard DiCaprio, and all that kind of stuff, which all the women. All the women just loved all that, because they loved all the love story. They just loved it as a film.
Well, yeah,
it was designed for that, wasn't it? All that kind of stuff. But
I mean, there are nuggets of truth in that film. Very small ones, but nuggets of truth in it. Yeah, individual little incidents did have a ring of truth to them. Yeah.
Well, the orchestra playing, as Cotton is there. And one of them went over and said, "Where's the harpist?" And he said, "Well, harpist over there." Sorry.
There's never any time when a good joke can't be told. There's no time when a joke. Yeah, any time. We're all about to die, but Eric, have you got a joke? Yeah, this reminds me. Too right. Bloody hell.
Yeah. So it was read my book, folks. It's called RMS Olympic, and it's available on Amazon. And if you live in the UK, it's available from my website, as are all my other books. So
what is your website, John? John, what's your website?
It's called. The address is falsificationofhistory.co.uk.
Falsificationofhistory.co.uk. Okay, cool.
Correct.
If I'd known, I would have put that in the show notes, but I'll add it in afterwards. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
No. We got to do those sorts of things. I mean, you're the first first author that I've had on. I think. I don't think we've had anybody that writes books.
Oh well.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah.
We are a rare breed.
Well, yeah. I guess. Yeah, to some degree. I mean, I've got no shortage of them. But like I said recently, I've just been thinking about formats, about attention span with people, and really looking at that. Also, the AI stuff is quite interesting in the sense that. Like with your books, have you thought, surely someone must have mentioned it to you, I don't know how viable it would be, that they're turned into audio books. Has that thought run across your head?
It has indeed. Now, most of my books are too big to be audio books, because there is a limitation on the number of words, or the length of them for audio books. So most of them fall into that category. Now, the ones that don't fall into that category, the latest one, 60 Degrees South, which, as I said before, I wrote with Andy Ross. Andy has very meticulously created, or is in the process of creating, just finishing it off, an audio book, which will be on Audible, on Amazon, very, very soon. I'm thinking in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But as for the rest of the books, honestly, I just don't have the time to do it, and I certainly can't afford to have them done professionally, because it costs an absolute arm and a leg.
Well, let me drop a little tidbit of an idea in your head, because I think you might be able to afford to have them done. You're right, because I've narrated 2, and it takes about whatever hours you get in the can. It's times that by 3 in terms of the workload, and then you've got to charge for it because you've got to pay your bills and stuff. So it's expensive, because you don't know what the publisher's going to sell at the other end, and it's it's an upfront cost. You got to you can't do it. But although this might sound anathema to you, I think it's worth checking out. For example, there's a one of these AI voice things is called 11labs.io, I think. 11 Labs.
Right.
Now, what you could do, and it's much more cost effective, although I don't know what they charge per character, but it's still a lot less expensive than using an actual narrator, is you would do a voice profile of your voice. So basically, you would record yourself speaking in the sort of tone that you would want to speak the book in for, say, 5 minutes. You submit it. It creates a voice profile of you. You then feed the text in, and it'll turn the whole thing into an audiobook in your voice.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Send me a link for that.
I will. Great. Yeah, I'll follow. It's absolutely amazing. I met up with. I've mentioned it here before. I met up with David Irving about 8 months ago, back into last year, September, something like that. Good grief, it is nearly 8 months ago. It's probably even nearer than that. And because I'd narrated a book, I narrated Nuremberg, the final battle, because I made contact with his grandson, who's in charge of the publishing there, went up to London, met them, recorded the book, did all that, thinking, oh, now I'll become an audiobook narrator, only to find out that AI basically is going to take that right out. And he was telling me at the time that one of the big publishers, Collins, is it, or something, their entire catalogue is going through this process. Anyway, what they did was they took David Irving's voice from multiple video performances, which you can get on YouTube and elsewhere, although you can't get them as easy as you could, say, 15 years ago, after the great sort of throttle back and demonization of everybody about, I think it was 2017 with Amazon. They took a lot of books off and stuff like this. And they created a voice profile of David. And all I've heard is the advert, the promo, which is in his voice, saying, hi, this is my AI voice. It's absolutely amazing. I'm serious. It's really, really good. And it's a lot less expensive. You probably get the whole thing in the can for under $1,000. Probably maybe 500 or 600. I'm serious, per book, that is. It all depends how long it is. So, but yeah, you could do it. You would even just be able to test it out on the freebie account. So I'll send you the information on it, because I think people do consume audiobooks. I don't know. It's funny. I've recorded them and I read books, but I tend to not listen to them. I'm a terrible advert for the idea of it. But
yeah,
many people do.
Say to me, a few people come up to me and say, is your book in audio form? I say, no, I'm sorry, no. They say, oh, that's a shame, because I'd really love to read it, but I'm a bit dyslexic and I find reading quite difficult, taking it in. And so, yeah, it's great for people like that. And obviously, of course, for blind people as well. It's perfect for them, isn't it? If they're the only way they can do it.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be great to do it. But when we tried the artificial Amazon voices, and they're bloody awful. It just sounds like a robot reading it,
Yeah. Well, the thing, every time I look, every 3 or 4 months when I go back and have a look, it's just come on leaps and bounds. It's getting. I went to their site a few weeks ago. Like when you go to a website and you get a pop-up box, you interact with it with text, and you type a question, and they say, "Hang on," and someone's talking to you in text, right, like a chat room. Well, theirs is an audio chat, and you talk to this artificial intelligence assistant, and it's amazing. I mean, seriously, it's sort of silly. I went, this is getting silly now. This is really silly. So I say, talk to me. I'll understand what you want to say. I said, I'm looking for this. It said, oh, yeah. Okay, hang on. Let me go. You want to go over here? It just talks to you as if it was a human being, and it's getting better and better, or maybe worse and worse, depending on how paranoid we want to be about tech. Yeah, I think it might be. It's
scary.
It is.
Very scary.
I was looking at something today by Geoffrey Hinton. Have you heard of this guy? He's a British guy, English guy, born in Wimbledon, 1947, Geoffrey was. And he's reckoned to be, or they bill him as, rightly I think, as the grandfather of AI, of neural network learning in computers. And he's in his mid to late 70s now. He's just retired recently, a couple of years ago, from Google, which is where he was employed, because he wants to speak out about this technology that he's a prime contributor to creating. And he's concerned. Right. He's very, very concerned about what's coming up. Let me just see if I can find this little article. Where was this? No, I can't. You see, this is it. You get everything ready. You can't find the bloody thing when you want it, can you? You know what it's like. But he was what he was saying is that he reckons within the chance of AI wiping out civilization in the next 20 to 30 years is 10%, possibly as high as 20%. And in the interview, he was saying he can't believe the speed with which it's developing. Even he can't. He said, and one of the little analogies he was talking about, he said, it'll be the first time where something is around that's considerably more intelligent than we are in terms of its facility to marshal knowledge and understand it, right, and to use it in that way.
Right.
I mean, I've always sort of described it as a glorified tape recorder in many ways, which is me being northern and sort of dismissing it a bit, but I'm not. I'm quite serious. There's another part of my brain that's fully acknowledging what's going on. And he said the relationship, he said, would be pretty much... Oh, yeah, that was a great analogy, mate. He said, there's no example in nature where the more intelligent of a creature is subordinate to the less intelligent. He said, except in one instance, which is babies. Babies get adults to do everything. They're less intelligent, but because of the relationship between parents and child, decent parents, I should say, I know that it's not always the case, then the parents will do things for the child, even though the child is not as intelligent in terms of the way that we measure it. He said, our relationship with AI is going to be pretty much the same. He said, between a parent and a 3-year-old baby. He said, but we're the 3-year-olds. He said, so this has got to be, I think he just received a Nobel Prize or some massive prize at some big gig recently. And his speech is really interesting. He strikes me as a very honourable man, the way that he talks. That's why he left Google, because he had to speak out against this that he's been part of. And this is often the case as well. I did create an atom bomb, but now I'm telling everybody not to use it. This is over. This pattern goes on. It goes a lot in banking as well. They sort of run the Bank of England, then they go retire. They go, right, now I'll tell you what we've really been up to. It's terrible. Why didn't you do something about it when you're in there? Of course, they can't do anything because they get killed. I mean, literally, that's what's going to happen to them. So, but yeah, it's a warning shot across everybody's bows about what might be happening. And I'm not a user of it. When you were saying about an hour back that it would be cheating to ask it to write all these things, and I completely agree with you. There's something not right about it that I don't like. Of course, we may be completely cast aside by technological advancement and no one will give a fig, and that's a definite strong possibility that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thin end of the wedge, isn't it? I mean, I foresee a day, sadly, when all books are written with AI and authors just become redundant, just like every other person in the workplace will be if AI gets its own way eventually.
Yeah. We're coming to the end of the second hour, and we're about to leave WBN, and so all the listeners on WBN will be back again at the same time. We're going to carry on after this break. You're welcome to stay, John. I know you might want to get...
I'm going to gracefully bow out, if I may, and with my apologies. I am absolutely... my brain is shutting down at the moment.
That's absolutely fine.
Sorry.
It's been brilliant having you on. We'll have to do it again in a few weeks' time when you're all revved up and ready to go.
It's fantastic.
Enjoy your car. I've really enjoyed having you on tonight. It's great. And I'll get in touch with you with the AI stuff and all that kind of stuff with regards to books and the book reading. So brilliant.
Thanks, guys.
That's fantastic. Falsificationofhistory.co.uk. John Harmer. Thank you very much, John. Been great having you on.
Thanks, John.
Bye, Paul.
Bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye now.
Bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye now. John Hamer, everybody. Okay, well, let's play a little song. How about... This is called The Syncopated Clock by the same composer. I thought it was The Constipated Clock at first, but let's do this, okay? We'll be back again with you at the same time next week. We're carrying on after this wee little song. See you in a few minutes' time. The Syncopated Clock by Leroy Anderson. So, clocks and typewriters. It's nice, that, isn't it? Do you find that cheery?
It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, it's a sort of, was it the the syncopated clock?
The Constipated Clock, maybe. Do you think that's a good pub name? What do you think? Good name for a pub?
The Constipated Clock. It
see
sounds
you
good.
down
It's
the
better than the Ship and
Constipated
Shovel. Hey, it's better than the Ship and Shovel, you know.
It is. It is. Well,
Yes. Or the Elton John, where you can actually get there by a back passage, and
it's
I had a
after 10
pint there.
o'clock, everybody, in case you hadn't noticed. Yeah.
I had a pint there and got a real bum deal. You know, that's the trouble, isn't it? You didn't. Yes.
You know what? It's really, I don't know what it's like. It's really warm. I've got the door closed and everything. I want to let the seagulls in. Actually, I think they've gone to bed right now. And I've got an ice cold cider in the fridge. And I should have gone and got it during the syncopated clock. And I forgot. I'm such an idiot. I'm a fool.
I'll fill in for you. Don't worry. I'll waffle on if you want. If you want to go and get
go on.
your
Look,
cider.
I'm going to be 30 seconds. Just entertain everybody with 38 vulgar jokes. You've got 1 minute starting from now.
Now. What the bloody hell am I going to talk about now? Well, we got shows coming up soon with some very interesting people. And we got a chappie this Sunday coming on. He's going to talk about, what is he going to talk about? I'm just looking up here. Breathing, how to breathe correctly. So there we are. And then we've got Monica Schaefer coming on the 20th of July. And she'll also be on the 3rd of August. And Dawn Lester on the 31st of August. And guess who else? John Hamer will be on the 17th of August. So there we go. Lots of exciting guests. And if you've got any suggestions for guests, for both Paul and myself, please say, because Paul and I, we shared guests. So a guest on my show will sometimes be a guest on Paul's show and vice versa. It works very, very well. But certainly hot today. Now let's have a quick look in chat. What we got in chat here? We got Nathan, who's a miserable sod, said, no, not really, mate, you're quite happy, sod. Not a fan of the music this week. Sounds like it belongs on the Wizard of Oz. Yes. Well, it was 1950s, was it? Wasn't it? Now, Aunt Sally liked the tune. She said, that's good. We're just saying that we actually swap guests, don't we? I mean, you got John Hamer for 3 fuck bobs, which is not bad, was it? You know?
Yeah. And no interest. No interest to pay on the loan.
That's right.
Great. It's a usury free hire a guest service, which I quite like. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And did you know that every country on the axis of evil did not have usury? Isn't that strange? Seriously. Iran didn't have usury. Syria didn't have usury. And Libya didn't have usury. So that's a very interesting fact. There's a few more places
they were parts of the axis of evil because they weren't sharing their pittance with the global bankers. That's why they were evil.
Correct. But I tried to explain.
You don't want us to. You don't want us to call you evil. You must give us money.
Are you shouting again?
Anyway, you were it.
You suffering from constipation?
It's what I do.
No.
Actually,
you remember? Yeah, sorry, Paul.
That's in keeping with what I was going to mention. The toilet humor.
Mm-hmm.
You must be toilet obsessed. You must be, because if it's not toilet humor, it's toilet fireworks. I heard the beginning of the program. I did.
Yes. Well, you know, but
I just want you to know I'm drinking a very, very cold pint of cider here, and I've opened the door. It's such a warm evening. It really is wonderfully claggy. You know, I just love it when it gets like this. It's fantastic. So there you go. Hopefully I won't burp cider bubbles live on air, but you never can tell. I can get a bit unruly. You know, absolutely. Should I slurp into the microphone? and gulp it
Why
like they
not?
do in adverts. Like.
Ooh.
You could probably
Do you
do
remember?
that. You know,
Oh, that's great.
I discovered
Bit of chop
the
juice.
other day.
Yep.
I discovered the other day that Alexa actually has a number of skills. They're apps, but they call them skills. And I was trying to find out if there was like a grandfather clock or an hourly chime skill. And they actually do have one, but it's farts of the world. So instead of chimes, it's farts of the world.
Okay, well, we're
we've
going to
got
need
a-
to get that. We're going to need to get the audio file and all of
Yes.
that, Paul, because we'll need it for ad breaks and things like that. Maybe
Yes.
there's a quiz show. Identify the following. Yeah. Who
Fart.
made this one?
Yeah.
This is a field recording. There's a field recording in Oxfordshire, 1952. It's a conversation between the local vicar and Farmer Hodgkiss. Which one made the following noise?
Yes, identify this flatulence.
It's the Flatulence Show. It's the show you've all been waiting for. It's a family favourite.
But we have a little fart over here. He's called Keir Starmer. He actually looks like a fart, doesn't he? Really?
Juicy one, I imagine.
Yes. But Exo says Eric loves the F word.
Yes.
Do
Four
I?
letter word, begin with F, ending with T, though, you see.
That's
That
the
F
thing.
word.
Yes.
See?
Well, I've often said my mother put it down to me being born in it because she accidentally eased herself when I was born.
Yes.
And
I
the
know, Eric. I know a lot.
I slid into it. Yes.
It's great that you want to actually tell everybody that as well. I think that's quite
Yes.
admirable of you.
So my first gasp of breath on this earth was that.
Now, anyway, switching to
That
more
is-
serious topics, switching to a more serious matter, not really. There's a journalist over here called Rod Liddell. And I don't know if we made any disparaging marks about Glastonbury last week, but we bloody well ought to have. And I came across this little article on The Guardian. I'll start off with that one first, right? So there's a guy called George Monbiot. I am not a fan, right? Do you know of George Monbiot? He's a big environmental. He's a pain when he's on TV.
him.
He's a virtue signalling. Yeah, I'm not into all this kind of stuff.
Silly
It's sort of
git,
like,
yes,
well, I
yes.
don't build coal-fired power stations. But George, the Chinese are building one a week. It's irrelevant what you're doing, and we're all broke, you know. They're impractical, these people, because they're all ideologues. He's a very bright guy, but I just don't care for the cut of his jib. Anyway, he wrote this article called "How Does the Right Tear Down Progressive Societies?" My answer would be to that, not quick enough, actually, George. Needs to do it instantly, because there's no such thing as a progressive society. It's a degenerate society. He said it starts with a joke, right? He said, whether it's bloodshed at Glastonbury or starving people on benefits, their irony poisoning seeps obscene ideas into the range of the possible. Now, this is an illustration of why humour is dead with these people. These people don't have a sense of humour. Because if you mock them, they're all offended and they want to go to court and stuff. Let me just read you what he wrote here, because it leads, and then I'll go over to the real article, which is fantastic. Imagine the furore if a Guardian columnist suggested bombing, say, the Conservative Party conference and the Tory stronghold of Arundel. Hey, hang on, that's only a few miles from me. In Sussex, it would dominate public discussion for weeks. Despite protesting they were only joking, that person would never work in journalism again. Their editor would certainly be sacked. The police would probably come knocking. But when the Spectator columnist Rob Liddell speculates about bombing Glastonbury Festival and Brighton, complaints are met with, calm down, dear, can't you take a joke? Well, yeah, calm down, George, can't you take a joke? The journalist keeps his job, as does his editor, the former Justice Secretary, Michael Gove. There's one rule for the left and another for the right. Well, that's rich coming from you. Now, anyway, all slightly sort of silly stuff. Now let's go over to Rob Liddell's essay. Now, I can't read the whole of it because the Spectator's behind a paywall, and I'm not paying £12 a month to read a few articles. It's nuts, some of the fees that these people want for stuff, right? But let me just read you these opening 2 paragraphs because they're quite witty, I think. He writes this. So the title of the piece is, "And Now Let's Bomb Glastonbury." And there's a picture of that Glastonbury Festival with that Bob Villain or somebody like that being hurled around by, whatever. It says, yeah, you know what I mean, right? So Little writes this. He goes, "A small-yield nuclear weapon, such as the American W-89, which I know Paul and Patrick are very familiar with, dropped on Glastonbury in late June would immediately remove from our country almost everybody who is hugely annoying." I just like that. You would see a marked reduction in the kafir clan. Now, the kafir is that scarf, that Palestinian scarf that everyone's... For a start, and all those middle-class Extinction Rebellion protesters would find in a nanosecond that their rebellion was pointless because extinction had arrived even more summarily than they expected. Go on, glue yourselves to that, Poppy and Oliver. He says, street drummers, liberal politicians, provo-vegans, radical rappers, spiritual healers, Billy Bragg, that bloke who owns Forest Green Rovers, druggies, tattooed blue-haired hags, almost the entirety of middle-class London, all evaporated. I am not saying that we should do this, of course. It would be a horrible psychopathic thing to do. I am merely hypothesizing in a slightly wistful kind of way. One on Glasgow, one on Brighton, and the UK would soon begin its recovery with only a few chunks of gently glowing cobalt 60 left to remind us of what we are missing. And then it fades out into behind the paywall. It was enough. I was tempted. Yeah. That's why I looked up the paywall. I thought, oh, I do want to read the rest of this. I'll give them a couple of quid. But when it was like 13 quid a month or something, I'm going, nah, I can't give you that. Oh,
sod that. No.
Well, yeah, everybody wants a subscription. I understand why. They want to fund it. You add them all up, you can spend hundreds of pounds a month just to read a few articles. It gets ridiculous, really. But there you go. Anyway, so the question is, of course, it's a joke. But the thing is that it does carry a barb. And the reason I picked it, Eric, was because of this point that you repeatedly and rightfully make, that we can carry things with humour that you can't carry if you come out and present it in a factual way. It's a bit like what we were talking about with John there, about marshalling facts in books, but actually presenting it in novel format could be, I suspect will be, far more effective to a wider audience of people that can absorb it that way. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I think you're right. But you can get away with a lot with humour. Like, for example, I told my local council that a load of fiddlers, and how I did it, I said, it is said that there's a load of closet violinists. Why can't we all see these closet violinists so we can see them all on the fiddle? So I've told them in a funny way that they're a load of crooks, but I've got away with it because I said, well, rumour has it, and what I've said is they're closet violinists. I've not said anything about them being crooks. So I couldn't, and this is the way I think we've got to do. We've got to play with words.
Well, we do. We do.
And
speaking of councils, you see that thing about Warrington Council? They've all been fired or something. Do you know how deep they are in the hole? It's just unreal. This is a council. It's just, they're unhinged. And it's like I'm saying, it's not that they're evil. It's that they're stupid. They're £200 million in the hole, Warrington Council.
Well, Birmingham, they went bust, didn't they? Because, I mean, have you ever been to a council meeting and seen how childish the councillors are?
Eric, I'm going to have nightmares about that. Paul, you've got an invite to go to a council meeting. I mean, good grief, man. I'd rather pull my own teeth out with pliers than go to one of those things. No, I wouldn't, actually, but you get the idea. I'm just trying to get the point across. Yeah, I bet it is.
But it's really embarrassing to see grown men and women acting like, infants. That's basically it. Oh, allow Madam speak, and our chairman. Why can't they just talk normally? Mm-hmm. Why can't they speak? And also, you're only given 2 minutes to talk if you're going to object to a planning proposal, and you've got to tell them in advance that you're going to speak, and you've got to send them any script or anything so they can look over it, so they can know, how to answer you. My attitude should be, we pay your way as long as it takes, because we say jump and you ask how high. And that's the way it should be. We pay their wages. They're subservient to us. They're public servants. How dare they tell us how long we can speak for? You know, this is something that is they got too much power.
Well, I think what you're saying is right. I think these days are coming, Eric. I really think the days of the gobby Saxon council taxpayer have got to come back.
Yeah.
I feel it coming back. You're writing letters off. I want to be, yours outraged Colonel Smethwick Home Counties, VSC, that sort of letter to the Times. I'm going to send a letter to the Times, but they are effective in a way. Just as a follow-up as well to that Rod Liddle thing on GB News, but elsewhere, because if you do a search on it, there's loads of stuff on it. I only bumped into it this morning. Rod Liddle's nuke Glastonbury joke reported to police by pro-Palestine lawyer and woke council chief in, of all places, Brighton, right? Brighton, because I think she was upset that he suggested that dropping a nuke on Brighton might be a good thing too. Only a joke, mind. And he's right, of course, it is a psychopathic thing, but he's trying to make a point. And the point's well made. There's this sort of strange I don't know what it is. It's not really subculture, is it? It's promoted heavily by the BBC, who are all part of this stuff. I mean, do people genuinely think that they've got valid points to make? They can't possibly think that. I just think that they can't even think. There's nothing... I don't know. So there you go. It says here, Brighton's Labour Council Chief, Bella Sankey, or Belia Sankey... Bella, I think, accused the pair of incitement to terrorism. Yeah, as she blasted, Brighton was bombed in the Second World War and also in my lifetime in a terrorist attack in 1984. Yeah, we know. As the leader of Brighton and Hove City Council, I am writing to Sussex Police to ask them to investigate this incitement to terrorism published by Rod Liddle and Michael Gove. Right. It's an incitement to terrorism, is it? Okay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, it's I'm sure Monica won't mind me saying this, but her brother has been arrested again in Germany, and for the usual nonsense that they hype up just to arrest him. And haven't the police got anything better to do? It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Than harassing old age pensioners. But they seem to be terrified. Was it starting a riot? I
think it's the thin end of the wedge for them, and they're right in a way from their point of view. I can understand why they do it. I think they sense, rightly, maybe they sense, that things are getting almost like a hair trigger away from kicking off in some kind of uncontrollable mad way. I couldn't tell you what it is, but certainly, if you look. I keep going over onto Twitter. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. I don't know what X really is. So it's X.
Yeah.
Contradicts himself.
Yeah.
Just to get a feel for the nature of the exchanges, the comments, and what people are saying. And it's very, for people of our position, as it were, it's extremely encouraging. People are getting more and more brief, clear, and more direct in their language about what needs to be done. And very good. The migrant thing, of course, is at the top of everybody's list. But people are talking about the knock-on effects, young people not getting homes. It's mad. I'm going to go back to that fact from last week. If it is the case that there is about 8 million migrants living in this country on welfare at a cost of £500 billion per year, i.e. £50,000 each, not just into their pocket, but in terms of all the other services that are required to keep them ticking over, the solution, yet again, something that they won't think of, is to use that $500 billion a year to have them stay at home and just send them the money there. Serious. It'd still be cheaper. Yeah. You could send them half of it.
It would.
You could say, look, we can say, you're fed up of spending $500 billion. We can cut you down to 250. Send them back and send them half the money at home. That's fine. We'll do that for 10 years. It'll be cheaper.
That's right. Did you see that hotel manager speaking?
You're hitting your mic a bit, Eric. It's a bit. Sorry.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's your hand or something. Just keeps hitting the mic a bit. And it was
I'm terribly sorry. I'm just.
It's that monkey that you're wrestling with. It's that monkey. No,
I'm actually. It keeps falling off the bench. I'm going to keep screwing it up. You see, and yes, I happen to screw my mic up, but no innuendos there. Yes, but what was I talking about? Oh yes, this manager. He said that there's some rich Saudis. What they're doing is they're coming over here as asylum seekers. They don't want to get asylum in this country because they get 3 meals a day, they get put up in a nice hotel, they can have a lovely holiday here, and then when they're sent back, they get £3,000 to spend for themselves. So it's a free holiday. They can't understand it. So there's loads of people coming over from the third world just for a nice holiday at our expense. But we can't afford to pay old age pensioners. And the people are insane. There's no ifs and buts about it. The people that are in governments are
Well, they're
insane.
under instructions, aren't they? I think, yet again, we were talking about language and words that are used to describe stuff. And I know we've mentioned this before and we have to keep mentioning it, is it's not being described right in the mainstream media. It's not being described for what it actually is. So if we, we use the old classic stuff because it works. Bite their fruits, shall ye know them. What are their fruits? Destruction of the nation. Who are they? The government are the destroyers of the nation. They're destroying it. And that's the language to be used. They are actually waging war on it through an apparent ineptitude which they have. And their rhetoric is to be ignored. It's not what they say, it's what they do. And it's what you see. And what we see is an ever-escalating mess, which has to be, there's got to be some point in that pit where there's an instruction room where the instructions are coming out of and they're being followed. There just has to be.
I agree with you.
There's just got to be one. Nothing is by accident. Even their incompetence is not accidental. It's designed to be that way. I mean, and it doesn't matter what language we use on them because, as you've mentioned before here, they are of the narcissistic disposition and are incapable of hearing criticism. It doesn't register. You couldn't possibly tell me something, you oik, you stupid peasant. And they do, although they're all cliches, I think it's generally true. They do come from that moneyed set that's now identified with, Islington in North London, the Tony Blair stomping grounds.
That's right.
They're privileged. They've all gone to university. They've got degrees. They think this somehow qualifies them to be wise. And they're goofy and stupid and they're arrogant and they're deaf. And these are not good qualities. They're not statesmen. They're careerists and they're a terrible blight. They really are. They're the prime problem.
But you notice a spoilt kid never grows up because when they become adults, Roger Moore, I admire his guts. I've got quite a bit of admiration for Roger Moore because he said that he was an immature, spoilt brat. And he said he used to throw tantrums and things like that on the sets. Mm-hmm. And he took over from, I can't remember her name. Sophie, I think it was
Sean Connery at James Bond.
No, he took over with the children's charity.
Oh yes, he did.
And he went and he saw children that were starving and that got diseases and things like that. And he said it hit him really hard. And it changed him as a human being. And he said he wants to be remembered, not for his acting, but for what he did for his children, he said. And he realised what a spoilt brat he was. And he said, and I admire his guts for coming out with that. But the trouble is, you look at Starmer, he's a spoiled brat. You look at King Fatfingers,
Who's that? Are you insulting our beautiful monarch?
Charles the Third. Sorry, Third. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, look at him today. Did you see with all his bloody regalia, all his medals? I mean, my word, what is he, Rambo or something? Wearing all those medals? And that's childishness. Yep. Absolute childishness. Look at me, I'm important. I'm fantastic. It's a load of bovine excrement. Mm-hmm. And that's what we got in power. Children. Child minds. They haven't grown up. And that's the big problem. Yeah?
Eric, is there
Patrick?
any hope for them? Hello, everybody.
Hi, Patrick. Hello. How's it in jolly old Wisconsin? It's probably even warmer than it is here. Last time I spoke to you, you're having thunderstorms and lightning and all that kind of stuff. How's it going?
Yeah, it's balmy. It's good though. I was gonna say, is it a case like you said, Roger Moore kind of had an awakening of sorts? Is it possible for these leaders like Starmer and the King to change? Like,
who knows?
I doubt it.
Who knows?
I
doubt
would say
it.
the odds are
but
against
also,
it,
but you see, a psychopath's, their brain is different to an actual human being. Dr. Hare, who's a leading authority on psychopaths, has come very, very close to admitting they are a different breed. And that's why I'd say if you've got a psychopath that harms humans, you put them on an island away from us. Hanging them, what's the point? They don't know why they're being punishment, because their brain is geared to be a predator. They are predators on us, so we separate the predators from us. You wouldn't have a pet crocodile, would you, or alligator? No, they're where they should be. They're in swamps and they're away from us. So that's my theory. I just wonder what anybody else thinks about that.
Well, Starmer's, I think, he's obviously been selected for the absence of any positive qualities, really. I mean, he's just the strangest individual. It's just almost, like I said before, it's to make Joe Biden look intelligent, and he does. That's how bad he is. I mean, they've had Microbe over here, haven't they? What's his name? Macron, the bloke that's married to a bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
Bloke, and all this kind of stuff. And when you hear of these so-called deals that he's done on behalf of for the benefit of the nation, like he's allowing the French to fish waters around here for 12 years. Something's going on. That Brexit thing, that vote that we took, I keep thinking this is kind of organised payback for that. They're trying to get us back on track with everything. And the idea that we're supposed to work a deal with France to deal with the migrants is insane. I couldn't care less about France. France have got their own problems. And they as a people will rise up if they're not happy with it. The thing is that the problem in France is going to it's obviously prevalent in Paris, where it's just become Parisistan or whatever it is. But France is twice as big as England with about 2/3 of the population. And it's got huge areas where it'll take a long time for those people to penetrate that, but they're going to face the same issue. That guy, Cummings, was saying that the way you deal with it is you blow them out of the water. That's literally what he said. He said you only have to do it once or twice. Now, I'm not into that. I think the knock-on effects of that would be really, really bad.
In Yemen.
But where's the Navy? Just send the Navy out there. You get hold of the boats, you stick them on a boat, you just drive them straight back. You just drop them back in France, and then the French get all upset. We don't care. If you want us to help you to send them back to Africa through there, we'll help that. We can get the Royal Navy, what's left of it, 3 boats and a dinghy in it or something, and they can get together with you. But that's all part, I keep thinking about this running down of all of the military is so that these sorts of things can take place. No one's got any muscle to actually determine and manage their own nation in this European thing, because it's communism. And we go back to that book by, what's his name, Stephen Covington, or whatever his name was, about interdependence. No, we don't want interdependence. We want absolute autonomy and sovereign control over...
Intradependence.
Is that what he was talking about?
Well, no. There's interdependence is like international, and then there's intra, which is within, like intranational, which is within the nation.
Yeah. Well, my view of it always was to get a whole domino chain of people reliant on something else. And therefore, at any point on that chain, they can threaten it and you won't get your stuff. It's a bit like petrol at the pump, They don't want you independently managing your own life. They have to be able to put a control mechanism in. So this interconnectedness of nations is part of it. Oh, we have got to go to Brussels to sort it out. We never used to have to go to Brussels to sort out anything. What do we even need them for? And if all we've got is fish, and we supposedly have a lot of fish, why are we letting everybody else fish it? They've got a lot of land. They can farm a lot. It's great. I don't deny them that. I don't expect us to take all of the French onions, say we're going to send some farmers over and just nick all your onions, Of course, Paul, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, I do.
Paul, I have a question. Yeah. Were you talking about Macron?
Microbe, yes. Him. Yeah.
You were talking about Macron. How did he get that name? Because the only time that I've ever had experience with Macron was it was a petite, fluffy cookie that wasn't complete until it was stuffed and frosted.
Is he thinking of a macaroon?
A macaroon, yeah, Mr. Macaroon.
It's a Macron. No, it's completely different. A macaroon is like a coconut cookie.
Yeah.
But a Macron is 2 cookies that are stuffed and frosted.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, we don't. Yeah, no, this is exotic. I've never heard of such a thing. Have you ever heard of such a thing, Patrick?
No.
I mean, Eric,
never heard of it.
No.
Never heard of it. No.
I guess I guess he was aptly named. Just search for Macron.
Is
And they're
it's with
actually
two
quite...
two O's, I think, at the end. With the one you're
No,
thinking of.
M-A-C-R-O-N.
The little colored cookies, all different rainbow colored.
Yeah.
Which is fitting for him.
I wonder if he brought any patisserie over with him.
Exactly. Rainbow-colored cookies.
I wonder if he brought any nice
rainbow-colored cookies that are not complete.
Yeah, I wonder if he brought any
We
nice
got them in
French
Sainsbury's. We've got them. Yeah. Actually, Paul, we're in luck. We got them in Iceland and Sainsbury's, and they're £3.50 or £3.20, and they're called macarons. Macarons. Macarons.
I think we're getting a bit of echo from you, Paul, on the speakers. I think it's you, Paul. We're getting some echo coming back, just to let you know.
Well,
yeah. So you can, so
I can turn it down a bit.
And so you can get them from Morrison's as well. But the cheapest place is Sainsbury's, so they were called macarons. We've got loads of places. I've never heard of them before, but there you go. You know,
people go nuts for them.
Yeah, I had them. I had been to Dijon, and they had bakeries full of that kind of stuff. They're good. It's just not something I would go for usually.
I've found that French cakes look disgusting but taste beautiful. Did you find that?
Yeah, French
Patrick?
food is some of the best. I would say, yeah. Italian food's the best. That's my humble opinion.
Oh yeah,
but French wine is some of the best.
Yes, mind you, I had some French fish soup there, which I didn't go much on. You know, but yeah, the French are pretty good at cooking. You know, but you're right. Italian is creme de la creme. What do you think of Russian food? Is that all right? Because they have raw pork, don't they?
No. Maybe if you're in like the rustic area where they do like their own butchering and that kind of stuff. But it's not. I wouldn't suggest Russia for its cuisine. No. And have you ever seen the food map according to the Italians of the world?
No.
It's like the further you get away from Italy, it's like deadly. The food gets more and more deadly as you travel away from there.
Well, I know they have. No, is it like lard? I think they eat raw lard. It's like a sort of
in
pork
Ukraine
fat
they
there.
have like they have like lard, chocolate covered lard.
English cuisine, or British cuisine is the best in the world, isn't it? Paul, have you noticed that? I mean,
what British?
What we know how to do our fish
I'm
and
not
chips.
knocking our food. I think it's fantastic. I never even grumbled about it when I was a kid. Everybody mocked it. What do they call? What are the French colours? Le roast beefs. I think that's pathetic. God, have they ever eaten roast beef? It's just brilliant. Yeah. I don't even want much anyway. They spend far too much time farting around in the kitchen. I mean, I always think Italian peasant food's the best anyway. Seriously, it's all about peasant food. I like Greek peasant food. I was out the other night, actually, and they're doing Greek night now, and they brought Greek meatballs. It's the best food I've eaten in this pub. The Gun, I should let you know, the Gun at Findon. I told them, I said, that's the best, because we've been in there for a few years now. And I just said, these were absolutely epic. They were amazing. Really, really good. I was very happy. And really simple peasant food. It's just lovely.
We'll make a note of that because, I'm going to do a Fogham Hall star rating. So we don't do, so if a restaurant's crap, you don't rate it. So what would you give that? I mean, I've got a place in Waltham Cross, which gets five points. And there's one in Waltham Abbey, which gets 3 points, 3 stars. The top is 5. So how many stars would you give that place that you went to, Paul?
What's the top rating? 5 out of 5?
5, yes.
We never give a 5. I'd give a 4. I'd never give a 5. Yeah.
Really?
Well, if I give a 5, that means it's all over. There'd be no reason to go out anywhere looking for 5, would there? So I'd give it a 4. Yeah, I would. It was that good.
Excellent, excellent. And I'll tell you something, we got a place that does ice cream that you would like called Delicious, and it's made from raw cow's milk. Jersey, raw cow's milk. Lovely. And there's something about raw cow's milk, which is yum. But apparently, even with raw milk, cow's milk, they've still got to give them growth hormones so they produce more milk, yes, because to make the farm profitable. So they can't have it 100% organic because he wouldn't give us the quantity of milk that we require.
Yeah,
Sad,
that's
isn't
like
it?
pesticides. They're spraying pesticides here now, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if it depends on if you're breathing it in or not. but
We've got a lot of
you can't
work to
help
do,
it.
lads. We've got an awful lot of work to do. I like
Let's
working with
say-
the farmers. We do. There's an awful lot to do.
But let's say somebody dynamic comes along and says, right, we're going to do something about all these traitors. First of all, I don't believe in capital punishment. That sounds a bit lefty liberal, but that I just don't believe in capital punishment because we haven't the right to act as God. And it's macabre as well. But when you look at it another way, supposing we said, right, are going to swing, the bastards are going to swing for treason. The hangman, the qualified hangman, like what was the one now? Pierpoint. He wasn't the last, but he a famous one. They don't exist now. Who would do it? Who would carry it out? And remember, there'd be a heck of a lot of them, wouldn't there?
I don't know. I think the best thing we could do is ignore them. Wouldn't that be nice? Just
but
ignore them
remember,
into
they're
obscurity.
psychos.
Yeah.
So I actually
Can't
think
argue
putting
with
them
you
on an
there.
island would be best. But the trouble is, we have not got professional hangmen anymore because it is a very skilled job to hang someone. They got Pierpoint, new
you're
stuff.
not for the death penalty anyway, though, are you?
No, I'm not.
So
I
it's
don't
like,
believe in it.
What's
No.
the point of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. If we could just ignore them and keep them out of our sight, keep them away from the microphones and the media attention that they get, the better off we would be.
Well, I think, did I mention the Rupert Lowe thing here last week? This Restore account on Twitter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's up to, last time I looked, it was up to 500,000 people inside 10 days.
Wow.
Subscribed from zero. And I've just seen a little poll here because I'm always trying to scout things whilst we're doing the show to sort of pick things up on the spur of the moment. Someone's put a little poll up saying, who do you align with most politically? There are 4 names on the list. I'll tell you what they are. They're Rupert Lowe, which these things probably don't mean too much to US listeners, but Rupert Lowe is the most capable. Nigel Farage in his garage, Tommy Robinson, who's now back at large, and a guy called Steve Laws. Now, you might not know who Steve Laws is. He's not a politician, but he's actually been documenting the migrant crisis in real down in Kent for a few years, and he's got an excellent sort of Twitter account. Anyway, the results of the voting are Nigel Farage comes in last with a heady 4%, followed by Tommy Robinson at 8.3%, Steve Laws at 33%, and Rupert Lowe, who I just ticked, at 54.6%. And what he's suggesting and doing is absolutely perfectly timed, I think, about to create, basically a countervailing force, but not a political party. This is getting so out of hand what's happening. And I'm also seeing another little post here from Peter Hitchens. And it links to a video, which I've not had a chance to see, so I can't just jump over there. I don't know how long it is. But he says here, he's referring to the government and the political classes. He says they have no they have no idea what is about to hit them. Our rulers have stored up so much trouble that when it all explodes, they will have no clue what is happening or how to deal with it. This is the problem. They're thick. They're not. Yeah. They're incompetent.
The
they're
ivory
thick,
tower effect.
and they're deaf. Yeah, they're literally in that bubble, and it doesn't matter how much you point it out to them. Everybody goes, "Well, they can't be. They must know what's going on." No, they only know what's going on in the bubble, in the Westminster bubble. Yeah. They literally don't know. They've had such privileged lives, all of them, and they just talk complete guff. All of them. They're not practical people, and they're always overly sensitive about the welfare of everybody except their own people. Another little post. These are worth reading out. Kirsty writes, morning people. Amelia, I guess that's her daughter. Amelia's school, this is earlier today, Amelia's school has a Muslim going on to speak with the children about their religion today. So yes, Amelia is having the day off. Over my dead body is the child being subjected to be there and scouted as a next rape victim. Can F right off. This is what's going on. People need to really wake up. Yeah, it's just a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. We're at war with these people, whether you like it or not. Oh, can't we get on peacefully? Oh, all right. How's that worked out for us?
Yeah.
But again, that's a child mind.
Pardon?
But it's the child mind, isn't it? Again, communists, part of their brain hasn't matured. They think that you go to university and you know everything. You can tell farmers how to farm, and everything is like a machine. It's all working, and no such thing as reality of life. That's the communist way. Because you notice that it's something what Professor Edward Dutton says, and that is that before the Industrial Revolution, it was only the strongest that survived. So the weak-minded did not survive. But then, after the Industrial Revolution, people started to survive childbirth much more. And, well, that's a good thing. I'm pleased people are surviving. But look what happened. 1840s, along comes communism. Karl Marx.
Yep.
He was a spoilt kid. He was brought up in a privileged lifestyle. And these communists are privileged people. Their mind hasn't matured. They are very immature.
Well, they live in this fantasy world of they think the pursuit of utopia is a worthwhile thing. It isn't. It's the removal of, crime and sin that's key. That's what you can identify. And speaking of, look, this is cool actually what I'm doing here. So I'm just going down this thread. This is just my home sort of blurt, the stuff that's come through. Well, on X, a post from Liz Truss. You remember her? 47 days in power. I've mentioned her before. As being the only person that's ever said anything actually near the truth. Here, listen to this. This is great. 5 paragraphs, pretty quick. She says, queer Starmer, she doesn't write that. I threw that in. It's wrong of me. I shouldn't have done such a thing. It's very childish. Starmer, she says, makes wild accusations about what I'm responsible for when she was in, briefly, at 47 days. But my pro-growth policies weren't actually implemented, with the exception of getting rid of Sunak's health and care levy. The havoc was caused by the Bank of England economic establishment and their allies in the Conservative Party in order to stop them happening. This was an extraordinary undermining of a Prime Minister who had the mandate to deliver those policies. The problem cannot therefore be the policies. In fact, the counterfactual has driven up debt and stymied growth. It's bigger than that. Hello, Liz. You're right over target. All of the attacks and smears on me since are an effort to cover up how deeply undemocratic the British system has become. Spot on. She's actually doing more. She's doing more good outside of that position to expose it. And like we were saying earlier, no one's going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the banking mafia. These politicians can't represent us. They can't. It's like even if you and I got voted in, we go, well, we're going to do this. We're going to get a knock on the door. Yeah, you can't do that. Wow, it would destroy your economy and all the international markets. So, you'd need to use force, I'm afraid. I don't know any other solution. If you can't engage with these people in discussion, and you clearly can't, if they are of the position that they have the upper hand, which they clearly do, and yet you don't want them to have it, then we're in a fight.
Well, we have a police force. We have a new police force, sort of, with this Hell's Angel chap. And what he's doing, he wants to protect women and children. And these blokes are real tough guys. And I'm talking
Hell's
real
Angels.
tough guys. Yeah.
We have those
They're sort of Hell's Angels, but they're motorcyclists. But, the type of people that are pretty tough. And they want to protect women and children and do what men should do. And they said that if there's children in danger, their presence alone will be enough. They're not there to throw punches or anything like that. They can do if they need to, but they won't. But their presence alone will stop anything nasty going on. So if a woman feels that she might get raped in a situation, then they call on these fellas to just stand around and watch what's going on, because there's rape
come a
gangs
long
now.
way. They've come a long way since the 60s when Hunter S. Thompson was writing about the Hells Angels, because they would be the ones doing the raping if it were back then.
Oh, not here, not in Great Britain. They are. Well, I don't know. I mean, they said that this chap is a Buddhist, believe it or not. His tattoos all over his face, and the type of person you would think, well, you wouldn't really want to argue with. But when he speaks a lot of sense. I think you've seen the video, haven't you, Paul? Have you seen the video?
Which one?
That Hell's Angel type bloke with all
I've
tattoos on
seen
his
some
face.
clips with him. Yeah, he's just talking about, in the end, what's the thing with the marks? You've got to control the street. That's what he's talking about. You do.
Yes.
You have to control the street. It's where everybody sees life. It's very, very important. It sends out signals of safety or the absence of safety.
Correct.
Look, just jumping down on this thread. There's just so much good stuff. Rupert Lowe's just put up a post 4 hours ago. It's a photograph of all these young men on a dinghy coming here recently. This is what he says. I look at these pictures and videos of the boats coming in, almost exclusively young men, as we know, and just think, how the hell can anyone see that and think they're actually desperate asylum seekers? Of course they're not. Are they that deluded? Are they that mad on woke that they believe it? Or is it one big practical joke? Well, it's not. I think he could have written something much more to the point, because it certainly feels that way. Oh, it doesn't feel that way to me, Rupert. It feels like something else. Nobody in their right mind can think that, surely. No, normal people don't think that. If you tell yourself a lie, here's a good bit, over and over and over, I guess maybe you start to believe it. Indeed, that's what the political class have been doing for decades. I just cannot get my head around it. They are men, young men, fighting age men, almost all of them. I don't want any of them in our country. Just deport the lot. There you go. But do we have a police force that can do it? They're all full of these pipe cleaner armed pansies going around in rainbow cars, which is all part of the plan. We actually don't have a police force. It's been taken away. Fun, this show, isn't it? I hope I'm cheering you all up here at the end of the show. Last 10 minutes to go.
It's a happy show.
It's the happy show. Go to bed thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is that the heat's going to keep going up in the kitchen. The sooner you're aware of it, the faster we can make some sensible decision about what to do with it.
I've got a nickname for Keir Starmer.
Do you?
What's that?
You can call him Rear Harmer. How about that?
Eric likes that one. That struck the bullseye.
Oh, yes. That's a good rear harmer. Because it's really strange about those three blokes that try to burn his house down, isn't it?
Yep.
That's gone very quiet. Yes.
Do you know anything about this guy called Ant Middleton, Eric? I keep seeing him everywhere touted. He's going to try and run for the mayor of London. Well, he's one of us, an English lad. He writes this. I won't go into it. He says, a young man was stabbed to death near the Special Forces Club in London, in Knightsbridge. Now, for those of you who don't know Knightsbridge, it's very posh, right?
Very ultra posh, yeah.
Ultra, super, mega wealthy area.
London?
Yeah, near Mayfair. It's a sort of subset of Mayfair. Yeah. Knightsbridge, it's near there. It was for his watch. He says, an effing watch. Enough is enough. As Mayor of London, I will explode people instant. Oh, no, he doesn't say that. Sorry. I'm reading things into it. I will turn up at every fatal stab, blah, 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 blah. Well, we'll see. The problem that you've got as the mayor is that if you don't have the police force with you because it's riddled with whatever it's riddled with, I have no idea. I shouldn't cast aspersions, but they're not particularly impressive, the police, because we've lost it. And Peter Hitchens talks about this a lot. Actually, I had a little clip from Hitchens. I can't remember if it's relevant or not, but because I've actually cut it out today, I'm going to play it. It might have been about Peter Hitchens' economy out of control. Let me just play it because it's only about a minute long, I think. Here we go. Just a minute. We've got a minute to play this. This is from Mike Graham a little bit earlier today. He was on for 10 minutes. Let's see what he says. I can't remember now.
And we also have an economy which is out of control, and we're spending so much money that we're, as I constantly point out to people, we're actually raising tax to pay interest on our loans, and then we're borrowing more money to pay interest on those loans. These are the actions of someone well down the road to bankruptcy. And nations aren't supposed to go bankrupt, but I'm afraid they can do, and I think we're heading that way, and much of Europe the same direction. So I just look at it and I see if in 30 or 40 years' time when people are showing the films of these events, they're going to say, look at these people dancing on the edge of a volcano. They had no idea what was about to hit them. And I don't think they do.
There we go. We're dancing on the edge of a volcano, everybody. But some of us know exactly what's going to hit us or are very, very close to it. We've got to get everybody stop dancing on the bloody volcano. What to do, eh? What to do?
Yes. Well, the first thing you can do, if you've got any money in the bank, is buy gold sovereigns. That's the first thing you can do.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Gatling gun when the G came out of your mouth.
No, because yes, that's an idea. Could do that, but you wouldn't really. I think you'd be in jail quick. I think you'd say, something rude.
Something's going to collapse in a way that I don't think any of us can anticipate. You see, I think it's not. None of us want this stuff, but it's as if the powers that be absolutely do want it. They're setting things up to make the situation intentionally incendiary. And there's something all sorted out. I wonder if they've got some kind of kill switch with everybody that took the COVID jab, and they can just sort of send out some sort of radio signal and they all just sort of drop dead over 5 days. You don't know, really. We just don't know what they've got available. But it's such a reckless thing. And it's happening across all the nations of Europe and elsewhere, happening in a slightly different way in the States, but it's still part of it. And the politicians will not talk about this incompatibility of races and cultures issue. We're quite compatible as long as everybody's in their ancient ancestral homelands. Works fine. Don't have a problem. I'm sure we could trade with Muslim countries. And I know there are many, many good Muslims, but that's irrelevant. It's the bad in every group that always set the tone. And that's the problem. And that's kind of what's going to happen, I think. Gosh, I'm feeling very cheery here at the end of the show.
Yes, but no, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic that something is going to happen.
Yeah, me too. In fact, detailing it and going through it actually gets my energy up. Because once you see people describing it and getting more speedy with their communication about it, the better it is. It's beginning to actually form a part of common discourse.
Yeah.
Everybody's starting to talk about it. And suddenly it hits a point, boom. It's like that 100th monkey thing. Suddenly everybody's going to know. And they're very close to it. We're very close to it.
Mass formation theory.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at mass formation theory, 30% of the people believe everything the government says. Right, okay, they're dead meat. Forget about them. Just forget about them. But then you've got 40% that go with the flow, and 30% that are us. Now, with that 40% that go with the flow, all it needs is them to be nudged by 5%. It's not much. To come over our side a bit more. That makes the odds. So they don't, and the government are aware of it, and that's why they're terrified, because it doesn't take much for it to be nudged the opposite way. So that's my take on it, and I think they're very close. That 40%, I think that's now 15% possibly, or 35%. You know, it's decreasing all the time. It's coming over to us. So that's why I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I think being optimistic is worthwhile as long as we keep on doing stuff. I'm going to say something that maybe runs slightly counter to that, but I'm just reading it, Eric, so I don't disagree with what you've said. There's a guy, this is from the States. Now, his handle on X is Legal Man, all one word, Legal Man. His podcast is The Quash, and it's great. And it's about once a week, about 45 minutes long, and he's an ex-lawyer, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. He nails things in a really direct way. Let's read this. This is quite good. He says, I find it hilarious the way, and this is addressed obviously to Americans, but really to all of us, because it's exactly the same sort of dynamic at play. He says, I find it hilarious the way people accuse me of being black-pilled. For anybody not in the know, that means doom and gloom, right? And act like I'm the problem because of that. First off, I'm cyanide-pilled, which I quite like, not black-pilled. And secondly, accepting the reality is the real first step for anyone who's trying to get through this insanity. The masses are hopeless and always have been. I'm afraid I tend to agree there. If you look at it historically, the large masses don't do anything. There isn't going to be any awakening. At best, we can get a small percentage of the people, very small. Until you deal with that harsh reality, you have no way to build a path forward for yourself. Don't blame me for this situation. I didn't make it. But living in a dreamland about what it is won't help you. In fact, it's exactly what the people running things want you to do. There's an element of truth. I don't think we need to go so doom and gloom that we give up entirely, but he's an excellent guy to follow. Legal Man. I'm just going to recommend him to everybody. And if you subscribe to The Quash, which is his podcast, you won't go far wrong. He's brilliant. He wrote one the other day about the unaccountability of politicians in the States, but it's equally applicable here. He talks about all these crimes, and there's literally no one ever pays any penalty for any wrongdoing they ever do. He said, how can you have it in a democratic system where the ones make a judgment about their own behaviour? It's insane. Of course it is. And that's why Jack Straw here was bigging up 25 years ago, saying, oh, we don't need by trial by jury. No, Jack, that's all we need. That's all we're going to have. We want trial by jury on everything. And everybody's got to, because there's a lot of accountability, there's a lot of judgment got to be made on people. There just is, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm reading an interesting book by Francis Talbot. It's called Isaac Jacques, Saint Among the Mohawks.
Yep.
And it's the story in the 1600s of Isaac Jacques, he's a Jesuit missionary that comes through the Strait of St. Lawrence. In the
2
river
minutes.
to
I'm just letting you know we're wrapping up in 2 minutes, Patrick. Just to let you know.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, this is kind of gives an idea because it's the situation that we're in. We're going down the river, and you make allies in a place that you have no control over the people on this river going into the lake, the big Great Lake, and you have to alliance with those people in order to even stay alive. And I think that's kind of the situation that we're in. We have to be willing to make an alliance with the natives, with the tribal people that are invading our space. It's kind of like, what are you going to do? You're going to start an army and go after them, or what can you do? And the thing of it is, you're going to be faced with some behavior that's savage. You're dealing with savages. You don't resort to savage behavior. You show them a better way to exist, and you form an alliance that way. That's kind of like my bit of hopeful advice to how we face this, because it's the only way that's going to work.
Yeah.
Without resorting to violence, because the last thing you want is violence on the streets. You don't want a revolution. That's the last thing that we need.
Oh, terrible. Revolutions, they always create a situation that allows all the psychos back in again.
But the problem that we've got is that we don't want one, but the Iago in this, the manipulator, does. And on that wonderful, cheerful note, I hear the strains of the delightful guitar music. Been a cracking show this week. Really enjoyed it with John, despite the fact that he's got a new car and had to leave early, relatively speaking, but we had a good hour and a half with him, which was fantastic. John Hamer was the guest tonight, and hopefully we'll be back in a few weeks' time. And Eric, really enjoyed it tonight with you, Eric. It's been brilliant. And Patrick and Paul just coming in there at the end. Thank you guys over in the States. We'll be back again, of course, at the same time next week. Eric, have you got a show on Friday? When's the next show?
The next show is Sunday.
And
we got a man talking about breathing. Whether it's heavy breathing or not, I do not know. But
it sounds exciting. So I'm going to be doing quite a bit of
breathing.
Get your
phones ready.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So that'll be on Rumble
Yes.
Friday on Sunday night, Fockham Hall. Look
Sunday
out
night.
for it. Yeah, we'll
many
be back
thanks.
again same time next week. Thank you, everybody. All your comments in YouTube and Rumble and everything. We'll be back again same time next week. Keep well. Have a cracking weekend. And maybe enjoy the Wimbledon final if you're into all that tennis guff, which I am. So I'll be doing that. Bye for now, everyone.